G and Nix with Anita bigger in the tape deck. It's gonna be a sweet love. Maybe we could play it fair. Take it to the internet and I'm gonna take it there. Used to bump the Carter 3 and wear my Rolly chain, proud irony. I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down, whatever though. Call me crazy, everybody questionable.
Wants America to succeed.
Ohio Republican Representative Mike Turner has been removed as chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Today, we're expected to learn his replacement. Removing Turner from leadership comes only days before Donald Trump is sworn in as president for the second time. House Speaker Mike Johnson denied that the president-elect urged him to remove Turner from his role. Johnson said it was a House decision. Democrat Representative Jim Himes said he is, quote, enormously concerned over the development.
What's his name? What's the guy's name?
Before Donald Trump is
Turner House Intel Committee. Is he a Republican? I imagine he's a Republican, right?
Happening now. This morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson is set to announce a new chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Happening now. This morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson is set to announce a new chair of the House Intelligence Committee, one day after abruptly removing Congressman Mike Turner from that post. Turner told CBS the decision to remove him stemmed from, quote, concerns for Mar-a-Lago. Speaker Johnson denies the president.
Concerns for Mar-a-Lago. Of course, if you're not a Trump loyalist, you're out. This is authoritarianism in the truest form possible. And everyone's going to find out eventually.
President-elect had any involvement. Let's get right to CNN's Lauren Fox for the latest on this. Good morning, Lauren.
That guy's like a staunch conservative. He has been for a long time. But he wanted to hold people accountable in government, which is their job. Checks and balances, oversight, all that kind of stuff. But that's not good enough. For Donald Trump, you need to worship him.
Morning, John. Instead, what Speaker Johnson is arguing is this is just an opportunity to refresh the cast of characters who are going to be leading his committees in this next Congress. Here's what Mike Johnson said to us last night.
It's new Congress. We just need fresh horses in some of these places. This is not a President Trump decision. This is a House decision, and this is no slight whatsoever to our outgoing chairman. He did a great job.
And obviously, that is not how Mike Turner is seeing it, given the fact that you have a situation where this is a...
Mike Johnson is such a little theater boy. Like, he's such a failed theater kid that read too much of the Constitution, and he wanted to play one of the roles of the Founding Fathers. Like, he looks like someone who really wanted to be a famous politician. The way he dresses, he looks like a little beta male, as conservatives would call people. Like, Mike Johnson is so pathetic.
It's a highly regarded position on Capitol Hill. This is a really important position because Republicans and Democrats often work hand in glove together when it comes to national security issues that concern the country. This is not really a partisan position traditionally. And I also want to give you a sense of what Democrats on the committee are saying. Jim Himes, who's the top Democrat on intelligence, said, quote, his removal makes our nation less secure and is a terrible portent for what's to come. The Constitution demands Congress function as a check on the executive branch, not cater to its demands. He said later, quote, one of the reasons I was confident in Mike's ability to do oversight was that he, was not quick to bend the knee.
This is the biggest problem in Trump's cabinet. It's not being for the working class. It's not limiting corruption. It's not doing anything good at all. The only standard is that you are not gonna defy Trump. And if someone is not quick to bend the knee, that's bad for Trump. They want complete and utter loyalty in every aspect of government. They want it to be a one-party government. They want the Republican Party to not question anything. And Trump's nominees made it very clear. They put Trump above the Constitution. They probably put Trump above God, to be honest. Or they say Trump is sent from God, which is basically the same thing. Basically the exact same function. But still.
The knee, again, just emphasizing the fact that on this committee, in the House and in the Senate, traditionally, these have been roles that have always tried to be above politics. John?
All right, Lauren, Fox 4 us. Keep us posted if Mike Johnson names who he wants the next chair to be. With us now, Alyssa Farah-Griffin, CNN political commentator, former Trump White House communications director, and Bakari Sellers, CNN political commentator. And just to remind people where Mike Turner, I should say, stands on some issues, very pro-aid to Ukraine. He did not try to block the election of Joe Biden in 2020 and 2021. So what does it
2 strikes.
tell you, Alyssa? Mike Turner clearly believes that it's Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago that's keeping him from remaining as chair. What does it tell you, if he's right, that Donald Trump doesn't want Mike Turner there?
Well, listen, Mike Turner voted with Donald Trump about 90% of the time in the first administration. So this is someone who is a deeply conservative member, somebody who
Donald Trump is not a conservative. It doesn't matter where you vote. It matters that you give your full loyalty. Donald Trump is not a conservative. He never was. They don't care about conservatism. They don't care about ideologies. They care about power.
He's always been respected with the rank and file in the House GOP, but he's someone who's acknowledged Russia's interfered in our elections and attempted to. He's somebody who's been very skeptical of TikTok and, to your point, supports aid to Ukraine. So on some of these top line issues that would
So basically, if you reference fact at all, any basic fact is anti-Trump.
come before the
Perfect.
Intel Committee or that they may touch, he's not aligned with Donald Trump. And as Lauren said, yes, the Intel Committee has largely remained above the political fray. Not more recently, though. Devin Nunes was known for really politicizing the committee. Adam Schiff on the left, I think many would argue, politicized it at times. And I think Donald Trump wants someone who represents his perspective and his point of view in that.
There's no way I see all your greasy fingers in chat, all your greasy fingers type and get a life as you're watching, leaving a comment. What kind of life do you got, brother? You're on YouTube Shorts.
Position, and it shows that Mike Johnson's going to cater to what.
Who watches the news anymore? Oh, I don't. I just watch the Joe Rogan podcast for my informed takes. Joe Rogan knows better than anyone, to be honest. Awesome, bro. Bill Burr
was coming and all that stuff, so I feel lucky. Are you?
Wait, so Theo Vaughn retweeted this. Theo Vaughn retweeted something calling Joe Rogan a conspiracy theorist and yelling at people that blame the LA fires on homeless people. Theo Vaughn going anti-Joe Rogan?
Whoa. Moved, but the fire was coming and all that stuff, so I feel lucky.
Are you guys back in?
And I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
Unlike the internet,
Yeah, right, I know.
How dare you, bro? You're supposed to hate people. If you hear about first responders running in the fires, you're supposed to talk about their sexuality and gender, bro. These are first responders fighting historic fires and fire tornadoes and a fire hurricane. Why are you not talking about their gender? The only thing that matters right now is gender and sexuality, Bill Burr. Why are you talking about the actual issue? Stop. The actual issue does not matter here. Gender does.
That's right.
Oh my God! All of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean and then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds? You want to do that? You want to do that at night, you lunatic?
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA, sitting there in his underwear. You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged.
You know about helicopters because I remember, and it's interesting now thinking about it because you said
I don't know about it. I know about the one that I fly. Other than that, I don't know anything about it.
You know,
Bro, imagine Donald Trump or Elon Musk or any of these fake demagogue, narcissistic whatevers. Imagine them saying they don't know something at all. Imagine them talking like a normal person. Like, I know all about helicopters. I'm a helicopter expert. Ask me a question. I will not answer you because I really don't. Imagine showing humility in the slightest sense. You can't because it's a cult and you need to maintain that manly persona. I'm a genius in all trades. Can I answer your question? No, but you're stupid. Move on. That's Donald Trump's entire strategy.
But if you're on the internet, you know everything.
True.
I hope you know about it because you said that you got your pilot's license in case like all hell broke loose in L.A., you could get out of L.A. And at any moment, did you think, I'm going to make a run for that helicopter?
Well, the error in my thought was I didn't realize how expensive helicopters were. So all I have is a two-seater, and I didn't want to have to make Sophie's choice with my family. So, you know, we all piled into the SUV like everybody else. But no, man, these guys were out there clearing the trees, getting the wires back up and everything. You know, I mean, it was like the perfect, awful thing that could have happened, and it did. And I love how all the chatter out there is about bands of illegal immigrants and homeless people lighting fires. They light fires every day. They're living outside. They're cold. And this
Remember, it's not normal for this to be made political.
theory that some homeless guy without a car went from Altadena all the way to the Pacific Palisades, and then we have a hang glider. You know, and they're talking about looting, but CNN and Fox News are not going to bring up the insurance companies that are just going to keep everybody's premiums and still give themselves a bonus. Yeah. Yes. Free Luigi. I love how they acted surprised. Why did that happen? I have no idea. He wrote on the bullets why it happened.
Oh, we're back to Luigi. Okay, yeah.
I never left Luigi.
Wild. But yeah, it's pretty common sense. Even from a basic American perspective, or even like a Christian perspective, or even just a basic human moral perspective, the fact Republicans are turning this into a political football, Republicans making this into, you know, they're going to pass Trump's agenda. Like, Trump is using this right now, this crisis. He's going to hold up national emergency funding. Get this. Donald Trump is holding up national emergency funding for California, the state that pays into our federal budget by far the most out of every state. California could be their own country and be a top GDP globally. They're holding up aid. They're holding up aid to California, so Donald Trump can tie it to his tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. So Donald Trump can tie it to raising the national debt to pass tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. That's what Republicans are doing right now with their bargaining power that they got from this natural disaster. And California, Democrats never did this before for all these states that drain from the national budget, from the federal budget, like Alabama, Louisiana, all these states that need emergency funding, even when they have fires. You know, Florida has an insurance crisis where insurance companies leave them. Democrats never hold up the aid because it's not a normal human thing to do. But Donald Trump's politics is devolving our sense of humanity and just our sense of being people in general. We're moving away from God every day, and it's really sad. We need to bring back Christ and the ways of Christ, treating our neighbors with respect, love, and dignity, and just not being a dumbass. All right. All right, go ahead, call the number. Call the number, guys. Call the number. Have fun. Call the number, call the number, call the number, call the number. 1 second. You can call the number, though. Or join Discord. We can talk in Discord, too. In one of the Discord waiting rooms. Feel free to hop in. Drop a like on the stream. Drop a like. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. I'm dropping a poll. Who is more athletic, okay? Who is more athletic? Iceberg. It's Frosted Flakes, dude. Frosted Flakes. It's a vegetable. Who is more athletic, all right? Who is more athletic? Who are we going to say today? Mike Tyson or Donald Trump? Here you go. Who's more athletic, Mike Tyson or Donald Trump? Let me know. I dropped the poll. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. So, what's your position again? Let's hear this.
Wait 1 second. I'm getting a call. Decline that. Put it on. Do not disturb. All right. My position in general, I think Donald Trump is one with the ruling class. I think independent media is failing us right now, and also the California wildfire propaganda is insane.
Oh, I see that. Okay, let's see here. Let's start at the top there. Independent media is terrible. Why do you think
there's
no? You think it's a good idea to have media that is controlled by 5 of the largest companies in the world that all spout the same thing over numerous channels, word for word, You ever heard of the Ash conformity experiment?
Well, that's no different from what's happening right now on like Joe Rogan and Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and all those podcasts either. They're all funded by billionaires and corporations too. Joe Rogan is very corporate. So I just think the new independent media is very corporate as well, but we don't hold them to the same standards or scrutiny. But I think I don't like mainstream media either. I don't like mainstream media, by the way. I'm not like a huge fan, but
Okay, well, I'm saying, well, what's the difference? Because you have mainstream media and you have independent media.
independent media, there's just a lot more ability to lie without having any repercussion, especially on like X. You can say anything at all and get paid for it. Typically, you can't just straight up lie. You can twist the truth and you can give a political take as a commentator. But at least like journalists, if you read like journalist articles and written media, it's usually pretty good. But X is getting people used to just like consuming the media in like 5 words, which in general is just bad. I think social media might be the issue. Maybe not independent media, maybe social media and short attention spans, possibly.
Well, I'm really not sure that you've vetted, because you said journalists. You said that they're more reliable. I think.
Yeah, like actual journalists. Who would you consider to be journalists?
What do you consider? Because I look at the Wall Street Journal, and that's had so many redactions. It's
Well, they're blocking
media,
anti-Trump articles right now for the Washington Post.
Well, they were all about anti-Trump articles nonstop until the pendulum swung. Biden lost the debate big time, and then the Democrats came through and made up their own rules on how they're going to do the primary. They made
the rules they made up were always existing. Both parties do the same thing. So like they both have delegates who are elected by the different parties, and the representatives of the voters pick the different candidate. But we do vote for like delegates in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I'm 45 years old, and I've watched elections since I was born in '79, and not once has that happened in my lifetime.
When you vote for Donald Trump in the primary or Joe Biden, you're not voting for them. You're making a recommendation to your elected delegates in your state, typically.
Right, absolutely. And they're chosen, and that's why he went to the first debate. He clearly lost, but he was still elected as the primary candidate, and they pulled him and they shoved somebody else in. To me, that's corruption on a whole new level.
I think it's unfair to her. I don't think it's corruption, but I think it's unfair to Kamala. I think Biden should be blamed for anything because he waited way too long. He should have let them have a primary for sure. I don't think
Kamala
it's corruption, though.
And the guy is clearly delusional and senile.
I think Trump is too.
Huh?
I think Trump is pretty unhealthy too.
Well, I see how Biden walks around and talks and can't even speak coherently.
Hey man, I agree. You're preaching to the choir. I mean, I'm not happy about that.
Right. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and debate you and say that Trump is the most eloquent speaker I've ever heard, because
no. He's like getting it. He's like rapidly, even versus 2016, he's like falling apart too. But he doesn't like expand on anything like that serious, so he doesn't have to say many words.
What have you heard him say that makes him sound like he's falling apart?
They're eating the cats and the dogs. The dogs, the cats, and the dogs. No, sir, that was never proven. But I saw it on the television. Probably that.
And it was on national media.
Where?
It was in Michigan.
It was on Twitter.
There was
that was Ohio.
I would literally watch the body cam footage of the police, and that's pretty much what Vance saw, and probably Vance told Trump was like, "Look at these immigrants," and that takes us to another point. It's kind of a tangent, but
the person was not an immigrant, though. They just assumed it was because it was a non-white person.
What's that?
It was even the video was not. That was a U.S. citizen from the video from the law enforcement, but they blamed that on Haitian immigrants in Ohio. That had nothing to do with it.
You subscribe to the mentality that like white people should feel white guilt and all that garbage too?
Huh? Brother, stay on task. I'm just asking you about this one news situation in which they believed. Well, they didn't believe it. They knew it was fake, but they saw someone who was not white, and they assumed it was an illegal immigrant, and they blamed Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, for eating cats and dogs with zero substantiation. And you should probably have a little bit of proof before saying something like that.
I watched the body cam footage from the police officer.
Yeah, you should probably look for more proof. People need to demand more proof before believing something, right? Like you can't just watch one video.
Absolutely.
The fact that the commander-in-chief, the fact he'll say something like that with just seeing a clip on social media is pretty bad, I think. Like, you're going to be president.
I mean, you have the information that you have. Like, let's go back to COVID.
Okay,
right?
don't talk about it if you don't have full information. It's called being an adult.
Okay, well,
like, Jesus.
Go back to COVID, 2020. How many talking points did they make that were totally false? Found out after the fact, but they talked.
What claims are totally false?
that ivermectin was bad. That
Ivermectin does not help COVID. So ivermectin does not help COVID.
That's been proven that it does actually.
No, it hasn't. So like what the studies that prove that it does were done in lab studies, and it's a dose of ivermectin that the human body cannot handle.
That's
I know
not
the
true at
studies
all.
you're talking about. That is true. Ivermectin does not help
White,
with COVID.
Dana White, how it worked for him. You know what I mean?
That's an anecdote.
you're not-
I can say that. I can say
I'm
that playing with the hula hoop cured me from COVID. Like it's not substantiated. I'm not just gonna believe random stories. You believe stories from anyone, don't you? Are you gullible?
No.
Can your friend group joke with you a lot? Do you think that like sarcasm is actually true? Do you think Bigfoot's real? I saw Bigfoot last night. Do you believe it?
Yeah, sure. Did you? Do you have proof?
Jesus.
You have a
I mean,
photo?
you probably would believe it, but I'm just saying you should probably have more proof and reason to believe something.
If you had half of the crazy, unbelievable experiences that I've had in my lifetime,
Well, you
things
can
that I
see.
just don't
You should see.
claim.
I'm sorry, but you should see a therapist, brother. I'm serious. Like, if it's messing you up
why
that
would I
much, I
see a
mean,
therapist?
because if you had that many experiences where you can't tell reality from fiction, then you gotta, get some help.
I saw the body cam footage. And the whole entire premise that I was trying to tell you is when the cop himself literally says that, then the news reports it, and then
What did the
that
cop
gets to
say?
Trump. Trump speaks it out loud.
What did the cop say?
I mean,
That there's Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs? There were no dogs involved in that story, right? It was a cat, right?
And there was saying, and on the body cam, they said, yes, she was eating a cat. And she was Haitian for sure. I've known plenty of Haitians.
She was not. She was literally not, though. The person from that story was not Haitian. They're not a
do
Haitian
you know?
immigrant. Because
How
they
do you know
found
that?
her. Because we can look up her case. She's a U.S. citizen.
Let's look up her case. Show me the case file. What was the case? Let's look it
I'm
up.
not
real quick
looking
on
up the
internet.
case. You can look up the case.
Sure, I'll look it up right now. Let's see here. Haitian. That's fine. Yeah, I'm more worried
Was
about
there any
being-
dog involved? Why did Trump bring up a dog if she ate the cat, though?
Because
Eating
it sounds
cats and
good.
dogs? Is it raining cats and dogs, too?
It might be.
It might be. You're right. And also, Haitian immigrants are very Christian as well. They helped revitalize the churches. It's kind of disgusting that Donald Trump would go
Where did
after such a
pull that
Christian
out of?
community.
What are you
I'm just
talking
saying
about?
that
Haitian
it's really disgusting as a Christian to see Trump
How many
attacking
Haitians
fellow
do you know?
Christians without any basis.
You just spout anything you believe. That's not even true.
Hmm?
How
Oh,
many
I'm the one that
Haitians
does that. I'm the one that
you
does
go-
that. That's interesting. Okay, so why do you believe cats and dogs are being eaten? Do you currently believe that Haitians are eating cats and dogs in the U.S.?
No.
Are
Clearly
they
not.
outside your door right now?
They are. They're knocking it down.
Okay.
All these Haitians.
All right,
with,
awesome.
with cat dogs in hand.
Yeah.
Spoons and forks. Crazy. It's insane.
Yeah,
out
you could be
there.
sarcastic to, roll over the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, and I'm
mean,
not trying to be
you're-
mean. I'm just saying you should probably have a reason to believe what you believe.
I'm
I'm
being
just saying, like, as adults, we should have responsibility, personal responsibility, to verify facts that we see to make sure we're not talking a bunch of bullshit, right? Is that a standard we should hold people to if they're adults? I mean,
Just
usually
sitting here
kids
talking
can just,
about
like, believe what they
you're
see on the
not a
internet.
pharmacologist or anything, but you're going to sit here and say it does not work, like it's a fact.
What doesn't work?
Ivermectin.
Ivermectin? Okay, the dosage required. I can look up the studies if you really want me to.
Oh, now
I
you're
don't
looking
want
up.
to.
I thought you're going to use the same exact argument against me, and I'm going to use against you. Exactly what you just said. Were you
So
there?
do you know
Did
what in vitro means? Do you know what in vitro study means?
Yeah.
What does vitro study mean?
In the body.
No, in vitro means outside of a living organism, and that's where the ivermectin was proven to be effective outside a living organism, because the human body cannot house enough ivermectin to take care of COVID or cancer. But if
In
you
vitro
isolate it
means-
outside of the body, it can. But that's not a good thing.
vitro
It'll kill you
means
before it
outside
actually cure
the
COVID.
In glass. It means in glass, so you're wrong again. You just
You said
spout
in the
these
body.
things that
You
are
just said in
untrue.
body,
You don't
didn't
even
you?
look up your own facts.
Did you just say
You
in
just
body?
spout.
Did you not just say in body? Are you changing in real time what you just said 10 seconds ago?
You said outside the body. We're both wrong. The answer is in glass.
That's outside the body, buddy. What do you think that is?
It's
Do you
in
think they
glass.
tested on the concrete outside?
Yeah.
Of course it's in
Said,
glass.
What does in vitro mean? It means outside of the body. That could be
The
on
body?
the floor. It could
Outside
be
of
up
the human
underneath
body? Bro, there's no way you're saying this
Outside-
right now. Do you hear
outside
yourself?
of the
Do you
body
hear
is not
yourself
always
speaking right now?
glass, is it?
Do you
You hear
hear yourself
yourself
speaking right now? Yes, I do, and I
You
could
hear
I could
yourself.
tell that you have no idea what you're talking about. Now you're telling me that I don't know what I'm
literally
talking
looked
about
up
because I
the
actually knew the
definition.
term.
You said it means outside the body, and you're incorrect, sir.
So it's inside
You're
the
incorrect.
body. So it's
See, that's
so
the
in
difference
vitro.
between you. I can admit when I'm wrong. You don't have the ability.
I was
to.
not wrong at one point. You're trying to gaslight me, sir, in real time.
I'm not getting.
You
you
literally
said-
are.
did
You
you-
legitimately are. We can roll back the tape. This will be recorded.
Okay, good.
I said it's outside of
Report
the
it.
body. So
Answer
is in vitro outside of the body?
No, it's in glass.
So
It's
is
in glass.
if you're holding a glass, is that your body?
So everything outside of the body means in glass. Is that what you're saying? Because that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's what you're going to do. You sit there and spout and like find your little keyholes. That's gaslighting in its
Hey,
definition,
buddy.
my friend. Anyway, let's get back to the actual debate at hand because it's just clear that
Are you a troll? Are you
don't
a
have
troll?
the ability.
Are you one of my viewers calling it as a joke?
No, I'm dead serious.
Oh no,
Listen to
I'm
yourself.
sorry. You might
You
need
don't
yeah,
have
okay,
the
okay.
ability to admit when you're wrong. That is your weakness, above and
Oh yeah?
beyond anything.
Oh, I was wrong when I said
Yeah.
in vitro means outside the body.
Yes, you were wrong. It means in glass. The definition means in glass, not outside the body. Your definition was incorrect. Oh, you gonna hang up?
Nope, I'm just letting it. I'm just letting everything breathe, brother. Okay, next topic.
All right, let's go next topic. Let's see. Where were you? Independent media is terrible. I think independent media.
I think independent media is terrible. I think you are the result of. I think you're proving my first point, right? So we should probably move on to the ruling class one.
Well, how does no go back? How does what I'm saying prove your point? What
Because
does
you're like a
independent media-
master bullshitter. You're like a bullshitter, like extraordinaire.
What am I bullshitting about? What have I
Everything.
said that's untrue?
Everything. Name one thing
Now
you
you're
said that was
using
true so far.
So weak to use absolutes, dude.
Name one
You
fact.
can't even
Name one fact you've said.
name. You're the one making the accusation. Present your case.
You didn't know what in vitro meant, brother.
Neither did you.
Yeah, I did. All right. The ruling class. Okay, something else.
The ruling class loves Trump. Are you
Is there one
kidding?
topic you
Are
know something about? No,
Hold
the
on.
first. Is there something you know something about? Is there a topic you know anything about before we move on?
I know a lot about finances and the global economic collapse that's about to happen. You want to talk
Okay.
finance? You don't think it's about to collapse? What's the national debt right now? Do you? And what's the percentage of national debt service to the GDP? Why is everything going to crypto right now?
Why is Donald Trump gonna increase the national debt with his first move as president?
When did the national debt first start? Let's go back in history.
Wait.
You
Why is
familiar
Donald
with-
Trump increasing the debt? Is that a bad thing? Do you think it's bad that Trump wants to increase the debt to
How about
tax
this?
billion
Name one
to
president that
remove
hasn't
taxes for
increased
billionaires?
debt.
Well,
Name one
Obama got it
And
down to
actually,
500 billion, and then Trump put it back up again right after he
If
took
we're going to have
office.
a conversation, we can't talk over each other.
Do you think it's bad that Trump wants to
You think
raise
it's
the
bad to
deficit
talk
as
over
his
each
first
other?
action as president? Like, do you think that's bad?
You can't receive information, and all you're going to do is spout things that are untrue.
No, I'm sure. I'm asking you a question. Do you think it's bad that Trump wants to raise the national debt to cut taxes for billionaires as his first priority? Is that bad?
What? What did you say? Cut taxes for billionaires?
Donald Trump wants to
Are you a billionaire?
raise. Donald Trump wants to raise the national debt. Is that bad? As his first action as president.
No, it's not bad. It's necessary.
Okay, so it's good for higher national debt if Trump
I
does
didn't
it.
say good. I said necessary. Don't put words in my mouth.
Why is it necessary?
Use my words. What did I say? I said it's necessary.
Why?
Do you understand how debt works in this country?
Why is it necessary for us to take more debt?
Because, okay, let's rewind. You said Trump is going to raise the debt, right? Did Biden raise the debt?
Yeah, Trump did more, but Biden did. Yeah, getting out of COVID.
Okay.
Sure.
Did Obama raise the debt?
You should probably talk about
Bush?
why they raised the debt, right?
I can tell you why they raised the debt.
Are you
don't
just like?
understand the
Are you avoiding
flow.
saying Trump
What?
is bad by saying other people are bad too? You could say Trump is bad too,
I'm not
right?
going to say Trump is bad. I'm not going to say Trump is good.
So is it good
Trump
when
was elected.
Obama and Biden raised the deficit, or Bush? Is it good when they raise the deficit?
They have to raise the deficit. You don't understand.
Okay,
how,
so they need to raise the deficit. Okay, they need to. Okay, so it's a good thing, or is it?
Must.
It's not. Okay. It's necessary. Okay, explain more.
If you look, here's the thing. If you destroyed all the debt, you would destroy all the currency. You understand that? Do you understand that? And I'm not even trying to be insulting, trying to be condescending. I'm literally asking you, do you understand that? Do you understand the relation between debt and currency?
I thought you were gonna
even-
school me, brother. I want you to explain everything you're saying right now. I
right,
want.
let me-
I want a lesson. Okay.
Allow me to enlighten you. I understand you think that you're educated, and you might be educated more than me in other things. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to tell you what I know. And if you're going to be on a public forum, at least have the decency to listen to your people who aren't stupid and not full of shit. and
What does
aren't
in vitro
ridiculous.
mean?
It means in glass. Don't forget that. You're going to need it in the future to make your arguments. But listen, here's what's actually going to happen. And I've been studying the shit out of this for the last 25 years. I've been a day trader.
Do you know that
you
in
wouldn't
vitro
believe-
can mean in a dish too, or a test tube? Do you know which one? Which one is it?
It's the literal definition of in vitro is in
If it's on a
glass.
dish, is it in a glass?
It's Latin, my friend. It's Latin. Dude, why are you still on this? Do you want to learn about the economy or not? I'm trying to help you out here.
Wait,
buddy.
it's Latin for in glass?
Yes.
Okay, I believe you.
I believe it's Latin. I think it's Latin. It might be Greek. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Let's make sure. In vitro means in glass and refers to a procedure that takes place outside the body. So in that case, you're absolutely correct. I apologize for
Oh, so it's
that.
correct.
Yeah, you were. It says outside.
Yeah,
it means in glass
okay,
and refers to a procedure that takes place outside the body in a laboratory. So yeah, right.
But yeah, that's the biggest
Yeah.
point though about the medication studies they do with like ivermectin. That's where they kill the cells
But
at.
that's how they study everything. You're not going to unless you have
No,
a
they do
panel of
clinical. They do
people-
trials in people too. If ivermectin's creator had any inkling at all, any thought that ivermectin could cure cancer and COVID, they would get that through trials as fast as humanly possible, because they'd get so rich off of it. You do realize that they'd be so rich if ivermectin could cure those things.
Johnson, and on a mandated thing. And here's the funny thing: did you look at the stats of the number of COVID cases versus the number of the common cold cases? And did you notice the common cold went all the way down to almost zero, and COVID shot straight up?
Common cold didn't go down to zero. It decreased because of our social distancing and because we were doing masks and everything.
Come on, man. Look at the year prior on how many total cases of the common cold there were, and the flu, right? And then look at how many cases of the flu.
What's your theory? What's your theory, buddy? What's your theory?
My theory, well, here's the funny thing. I learned a long time ago when I was a little kid, even before any of this COVID shit came out. Do you know what they called the flu virus? What kind of virus is the flu? What kind of virus is that?
What kind of virus is it?
It's a coronavirus.
Yeah, there's other coronaviruses. Yeah, we know that. There's not just one
Yeah,
coronavirus.
of course.
There's multiple bird flus. There's like multiple of everything.
Listen to me. Do they give you the same flu shot every single year, or is it a different strain every year? Because it mutates. So if I am look, all you have to do in your entire research of everything is follow the money.
Oh my God. Okay, tell me about the money, the national debt.
Money.
Why is it good that Trump's raising the national debt? Okay, the conversation's getting kind of still. We gotta keep going. All right. What are we doing?
Why is Trump going to raise the national debt? Oh,
yes.
Your phone's going to die. Dying.
Hey, your phone's gonna die. That's okay. I could take someone else if your phone's gonna die.
That's fine. What's up?
Oh my God, bro. That's like the premium bullshitter. Holy crap. Please drop a like on the stream. Make sure you drop a like. It helps the algorithm out. That was a really fun call. I love callers that don't know anything at all. Yeah, dude. In vitro means it's not outside the body, it's in glass, bro. It's not outside the body, it's in glass. It's in a glass inside your body, bro. Oh my God, I can't do it, bro. The entire American population is doing this right now. All right. Please consider, all right, if you want to call in, I have a lot of callers waiting. You can donate $5 to my Venmo down there, or Cash App or PayPal to get ahead of the line. Channel memberships are $3 a month. We need channel members. Trying to hit 100 eventually. Please become a channel member. They're not sending their best. They're not sending their best. They're just not. Some, I assume, have brain cells. Some. Not many. Yo, Mike Tyson's winning a poll. Dude, Donald Trump's losing an athletic poll. Let's do LeBron James now. Let's see if LeBron James can win. Yeah, I can't reason with that. You're true. You're true. I can't reason with them. What the hell is going on here? Okay.
Call.
Hello.
Hello? Oh, shoot. Oh, wow. I came through. That's
Yep,
awesome.
you won the lottery.
Hey, okay. Well, this is my first time on YouTube. Actually, it's pretty crazy. So, Jola, right? Jola?
Yep, that works.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Tony, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. The other caller, gosh dang, man, this is like not really coherent. It was like jumping from one thing to the next. But I was just I was just wondering, so you support Kamala Harris or and Biden?
Um, I'm not really a big supporting certain politicians person. I vote for politicians based off what policies they're going to do and what outcomes they can get in office versus the other option. I think politicians are a utility. They do certain things. I think anyone that's like a big fan of any politician, it's probably not a good thing. I'm a fan of like, I like Bernie Sanders as a person, but like I'm not in a, I'm not going to build a statue of Bernie Sanders like a lot of Trump supporters might. But yeah, I don't think it's good to idolize politicians. So I wouldn't say support, but I'd say, yeah, I definitely voted for her. I thought she was a better option.
So would you because like I'm kind of like I'm not like Democrat or Republican. I'm kind of like in the middle. I mean, I don't
Sure.
really subscribe to like oh, that's my party. Like that's my tribe. Like what other people say. But like so like do you lean like more Democrat or are you kind of like in the middle or?
Well, I kind of need to because I'm very pro busting, trust busting. I'm very pro trust busting monopolies. I'm very pro taxing the rich more. I'm pro government agencies that hold like corruption accountable and protect consumers. And that's like anti what Trump's platform was. So I'm also like pro using tax dollars for like infrastructure plans, which Biden got passed, versus like giving more tax cuts to wealthy people. So I kind of have to be, and I'm also very libertarian on civil rights and social issues. So I'm not a fan of like banning things like abortion. I think that should be people's decision to make. Even if you're pro-life, I think you should be pro-choice because pro-choice and anti-choice are the only two policies you can really choose from as far as like the actual implementation. So as far as that kind of stuff, I definitely would need to side with Democrats a lot more. Unless if I'm trying to think of, there's some Republicans that are very like pro civil rights and very pro Constitution, but I feel like that's a dying breed right now in the party.
What I just don't get is that like maybe like okay maybe probably like I'm kind of old. I'm in my 30s, and I remember back in the day, like only old people watch the news. Like it was all about, oh, let's go to the movies and let's do this, let's play some games. Like what's the new trend going on. But now it's
Sure.
all about politics, and
Everything
it's
is,
just
yeah.
like totally just like I think it ruined like a lot of people's childhoods. You know what I mean?
I
Like.
agree. Even like Joe Rogan, I used to love watching Joe Rogan, but now he's basically a political commentator. It's a it's a political show now. You need to watch politics if you watch Joe Rogan. There's no more just like fun podcasts, so I can't really even watch it because it's like he's just like lying about stuff or he doesn't know stuff and he's still commenting on it. I miss the old Joe Rogan when he cared about like being funny and all that kind of stuff. I still love like Theo Von's hilarious and like Shane Gillis, they're hilarious, but Joe Rogan just is totally off the deep end. Even do you know Theo Von and all them?
Yeah.
Even
I
Theo
watched a couple
Von,
other ones.
yeah, Theo Von shared a tweet today calling Joe Rogan a crazy conspiracy theorist. It was actually kind of crazy. So even like Theo Von is going like a little bit anti-Joe. So it's really sad to see that kind of stuff. And I just want to watch even sports podcasts now are talking like Stephen A. Smith is getting into politics. So it's like yeah, everywhere.
It's just we're so focused on like getting everything from the news to base our lives off of, and our whole like our premise for everything that we think is true and right. It just like leads me to believe that like especially with like having the viewers, like us, the citizens, or anybody around the world, really, it's become like to this point where they're focusing everything towards the government. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
just like,
I guess well someone put in the comments right now, what are you doing right now? You're being political. It's like, hey, my channel is called Joel Talks Politics. Of course you come here for political content. We're talking about areas that are entertainment or just like, doing things that are not political and politics seeping into it. It's not like going to like obviously if you watch my show you're looking for like I want to watch politics tonight. Of course. Like my name is Joel Talks Politics. What are you saying? What point are you making? But I think there's a total just like
the
in
point that
America we're dividing a lot, so yeah.
yeah, the point that I'm really making is that like I think pretty soon is that like there's gonna be like I was in the Navy for about 4 years. I did two deployments, and I was on the USS Barry, DG-52, and we did we basically we took what the hell was his name? Yeah, Gaddafi, basically out of power. We shot the fuck out of him. I mean, we sent off like 50 plus tomahawks just from our ship, right? And we completely destabilized that whole region. And in the end, what happened, and I saw this I was right there. It's just over the news was that like it just became a big, huge vacuum. You know what I mean? And Obama was, was president at that time. And so, okay, that happened, right? And then in 2013, we were actually about to do the same thing to Al-Assad, which is kind of funny because now he's out of the picture now. But we were about to attack, right? But Obama took way too fucking long, like way too long, and we got surrounded by freaking Russian ships, and we're just out there all alone and stuff like that. So it's like all this stuff is like orchestrated in a way that, unfortunately, it's just like it's the government is slowly taking over. And as far as like being political and stuff like that, for me, I do lean more towards Trump, in the sense that like with like as I was saying previously about like how everything is just about the news, and it's become like a doctrine, like indoctrination, as you would say. And it's like I'm totally like against like people who are super far right, and I'm totally against the people who are super far left, and it's becoming an insanity.
I feel
To the
like
point, like,
but Donald Trump right now is like he's pretty not good, I'd say. Just with even conservative values, he doesn't have any of those. He kind of divides Americans. He just made everything political with California, lying about it constantly, and he did try to steal a democratic election. The evidence is extremely strong, and he convinces Americans to fight each other
oh yeah, it was
constantly.
all over
So
the
it's
news.
like
Yeah.
I mean, that's all he says is division. I don't think can we even think about did Donald Trump ever say a positive thing about America? I don't even know if he ever said a positive, like constructive thing about America, or if he ever provided any leadership. And I feel like a lot of men in America think it's a good thing to be like misinformed, or they think it's a good thing to be like I don't know. Like, of course you guys are liberals. You're talking about science. It's like, well, we can still talk about these things in a sober way without making them like extremely
Yeah,
political.
and actually, like I was watching this. It was between, I think it's like it starts with it's not. It was between. Oh gosh, what is the name of that really smart guy? Peterson and Future or whatever his name is. He's really smart. He's super left, and they were just going back at each other about COVID, about the economy, and about they were just going back to back and just like hammering it out. And I think we need those things. Like we need someone that's like has a position of being the far right and a position of being the far left, not extremists. You know what I mean? Or even
What do you
me.
think about Trump on
But
Joe Rogan? What's your big takeaway from him on Joe Rogan?
him on Joe Rogan, obviously it was to be like to sway, the last minute voters towards him because they're like, oh shit, Joe Rogan, he's on Joe Rogan. Oh fuck yeah. I mean, obviously people are going to be watching it and they're going to be like, whoa, we got to see this. And so I think the beginning, Joe Rogan was a Democrat, of course. He lives in California, Hollywood, he rubbed shoulders with all those guys. But I guess like it's just maybe I like it. I don't know. I mean, from what he said and from what all they said is that like the Democrats kind of stopped being Democrats and started being more like I guess Gestapo or something. I mean, like
Well, I would
from
say
what
that I mean
get
Donald
out
Trump
of
is
it.
the president that had unmarked vans putting protesters in them, and he wanted to bring the military to shoot U.S. protesters, and he wants to put people in jail for burning the American flag and a bunch of other First Amendment violations. So like as far as that goes, I'm just like
Yeah.
Joe Rogan right now. He's had Elon Musk on, Mark Zuckerberg. He talks about like Jeff Bezos. All of our billionaires are running to Joe Rogan and talking about how much they love the new government because they're not going to hold anyone accountable for corruption, but they're saying it with like the words woke and DEI. so people listen to that part, but they're not really taking a notice of how Trump is Trump is going to put all those guys on the stage at the inauguration. And I don't like how much big money is taking over our politics, and Trump seems to be going in the wrong direction on that. And I think that's the number one issue we're facing right now is money in politics, and Trump is like the worst when it comes to that.
And I do agree with you somewhat about that, because like whenever he comes in power, everything's gonna fucking change for the better or worse, or maybe both. Who knows? Personally, I liked it better. Everything was a little bit more cheaper. The economy was a little bit better, in my opinion. His first run, but
Do
the
you blame
second one is
like when you look at the economy, like what do you usually do to tell if a president's good or not? Do you just see how it is, or do you look at like what they do?
Well, I'm an electrician. I work in Texas, and I work in transmission. And these guys are like very themselves are very political, and so they need they actually give they can't give money themselves to senators to pass their own bills, but that's why they use the employees, and they subscribe to it, and then we pay the senator or stuff like that. And it's just what it is, and so to pass these bills. But I did notice that whenever Trump was in power, we had a lot more, as far as Texas goes, a lot more construction, more development, and things like that. And
That's
of course,
really weird
COVID.
because Trump never did anything about that. Like he never got an infrastructure bill passed. So it might have just been like random private investments. But as far as like from the government, from like what they actually did, Trump talked about getting infrastructure done and how easy it'd be, but he never got an infrastructure bill done, and Biden was able to. So I feel like people don't give Biden any credit for that, even though that was something like Trump really wanted.
Biden did, especially with all the solar farms, but like the solar is very fragile, like very, very fragile.
Well, that was the Inflation Reduction Act, but the infrastructure bill was all roads, bridges, airports, all that kind of stuff. So the the bipartisan plan was all that kind of stuff. So all the good stuff that everyone would probably like. But no one gave him credit for it at all. I mean, they probably don't know he even did it because like Democrats are terrible at messaging and Republicans are great at messaging. And although like Democrats are more effective in government, they got blamed. Every party globally in every single country that was in power, that party lost power in that government because they got blamed for COVID and they got blamed for the inflation because every country experienced inflation. And even in America, we had the #1 economy in the world returning from COVID, but there were still issues. Although we were #1 globally, people still got mad at Biden for that. Although, Biden was the first president to have us go through a big financial crisis and not have a recession or a depression, and not a true recession or a stock market crash, not a true one. We rebounded right away. Biden was the first president, and his Fed was the first one to get us out of the Federal Reserve, to get us out of a situation like that without complete catastrophe. So no one gives Biden credit for that, and I feel like it's like if you have a building that's on fire and you get that fire put out. I'm not referencing California, which it also applies there. But it seems like when you put that fire out, the person who put the fire out is getting blamed more than the issue that actually caused the fire. Because I never hear like, yeah, COVID screwed the economy up. I hear that for Trump, like it made us go into debt for Trump and the economy sucked under Trump because of COVID. But no one ever gives Biden the same Biden the same credit or leniency, I feel like.
No, I think he did, the best that he could with, the hand that he was dealt. Of course, like times are very hard and the world is going to shit. And I mean, I don't think he did a terrible job. I mean, probably his policies, like as far as specific ones. I mean, I'm not really. I take a lot of things like face value, so I don't really tend to go too deep into it. But like,
no, that's normal.
It's just I kind of noticed that like everything, like everybody, like it just, I don't know. Especially with like the being woke and all that stuff. I mean, that's fine. That's cool with me. I mean, like like you want to be gay, whatever. But it's just like it was taken way to the max. And
I feel like conservatives take it to the max too. because like right now, you know, the California fires, for example.
Hmm.
I see people blaming DEI on that and wokeism, diversity, equity, and
No,
inclusion, and blaming like lesbian
no.
firefighters. And like
Because,
Trump even posted that,
of
or like yeah.
fire. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
they were blaming
ridiculous, of
that. So
course.
like Trump, so like right now, well, it's funny because they're complaining about DEI because they have some like diverse firefighters, but only 3% of their firefighting force is women. 95% plus are men, but no one knows that. And also, just in general, right now, Donald Trump. So if there's like an emergency in Louisiana or Tennessee, which has had wildfires, like these countries or these states have had wildfires and other natural disasters. In California, it was basically like a fire tornado or a fire hurricane. But Trump wants to tie that relief funding to his agenda for cutting taxes for the ultra wealthy and raising the national debt. So Trump wants to hold up the funding for California, and at the same time, put conditions on it that they'll only give California the natural disaster funding if they pass his tax cuts for the rich in Congress and go into more national debt. And I think that's kind of disgusting. It's not very like Christian. It's not very, American. And California in
Yeah,
general,
of course not.
they
Yeah.
pay by far. Like California is their own country almost. They pay like 15 or 20% of our total federal revenue because of how big their economy is and how successful their state is. And the fact that we're not going to give funding to them, but California's money will be given to like Alabama, Louisiana, all these red states that drain from the federal budget. And Democrats would never put conditions on federal aid, but Republicans get to because their voter base doesn't care that much about caring about their neighbors. It seems. It seems like
I
an
would
issue.
say it has a lot to do with the way that California has been run, and especially with like the big like homeless problem and everything like that. And I just saw on the news that like Newsom, like towards the last, like he finally started like helping, clean up everything, clean up all the crap, all the homelessness, like all that, like forcing them out. And so it's just I see this in a lot of areas, especially here in Austin and stuff like that. It's just like there's not a good plan to help those poor people. Yes, there's a lot of mental illness and you can't really help that, but you can make things that like will I guess rehabilitate them. But that's another thing.
Yeah, but that's not tied to the fire, right?
No. I mean, like, actually, like
So the
last year,
disaster funding for the fire should not be held up, in my opinion, at all. There's no reason to
no,
hold it up.
well, okay. So, I mean, it depends on how, like, what resources do they have on hand? Are they maintaining them? And has maintenance been done? Has it been insured? Like checked off checklists. Oh, it's good to go. It's good to go. Or were they being kind of stupid?
Well, California increased their
I don't know.
They increased their fire management by like 10 times. They increased their water systems infrastructure a lot. They've done everything that they've been told to do.
There's no water in the fire hydrants.
So that issue was because when Donald Trump says there's no water because they diverted it into the ocean or for the smelt, that's a 100% verified lie, and he keeps repeating it because he just lies all the time. So the fire hydrant issue was, so essentially there's reservoirs that are completely full. But this was like a fire hurricane or fire, and there's fire tornadoes. A bunch of crazy stuff was happening, 100 mile per hour, whatever winds. Like there's crazy stuff happening. This is unprecedented.
Yeah.
There's no amount of
kind of crazy after like they mocked God and then that thing happened.
Okay, well we're not gonna do any prophesizing about.
But I mean, I'm Christian. You're Christian, right? So it's kind of
Yeah, but thinking that that would cause someone to deserve punishment.
No, well, I mean, and I'm not saying that's
more
funny
Old
what happens
Testament
to
style.
people,
New
but,
Testament
like,
doesn't do that.
Well, I mean, you can't mock God though. Like that.
Well, you can.
You can. He's long suffering, but I mean, it's just like there comes a point where, which is going to happen pretty soon.
I think Trump mocks God all the time, so he never gets any punishment. So.
Oh yeah, they all do. You know what I mean? And let's just say
I'll be waiting for the punishment for the fake Christians in Washington for the Republicans then, that are holding up the funding for California, that are not caring for their neighbors, and they don't care about the working class at all. But like just in California, the water systems, the fire hydrant thing, it's basic water infrastructure, but everyone makes it political, and it's really unfair to Americans if the leader of the free world is going to be lying, or if he's too dumb to understand it, because those are the only two options. So because he's president, so he has time to think about this. I understand if you don't know policies or if you're busy, you work a life, you have social life, you might have a wife, kids, whatever, might have a family, might have stuff to do. Americans are busy. But when you're president, sharing fake stuff is pretty bad in my opinion. But also, the fire hydrant issue is that everyone pulled from the same water source. This was unprecedented. We had firefighters accessing every hydrant. So the firefighters closer to the reservoirs and to the sources had very good water pressure. But if there's too many firefighters pulling at the same time, the pipes are only so big under the ground to move the water. So those firefighters closer to the reservoir had all the water pressure, and the firefighters that were further away had very low water pressure or no water pressure, especially because a lot of water supply is from water towers, and water towers work when you pump water into it with electricity, and it comes back down and creates water pressure with gravity. So since the electricity shut off, there was no way to pump water back into the water towers. But as far as water infrastructure, California was completely fine with reservoirs and water and all that kind of stuff. But everyone wants to say that they didn't manage their forests, which is untrue. They don't even have forests in the way that we would have forests in like the Northeast or even Texas. But it's like a different climate. But also they did spend tons of money on that. They made sure the water systems were good. And the funny thing about all this, they were complaining about like a budget being cut from $837 million to $820 million. But the Republicans are the ones that voted against the budget increases. That budget would have been higher if only Democrats were in California. But Republicans pressured them to lower the budget and to make cuts. But the budget's still going to end up being higher this year than it was last year. But there's other funding in different accounts that are going to be moved over. But it's crazy that Democrats are getting blamed for this crisis when Republicans are the ones that don't want to fund firefighters in California. And it's like it's so politicized for no reason. But if it's going to be political, we should at least have our like facts right. I feel like. And it's not your fault. It's Trump's fault for lying to people. Like it's not anyone's fault for believing the wrong thing. Because when you have the president lying to you, then it's hard. Like.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear it from Trump's mouth. I saw in news articles here and there, and I was like, dang, that's kind of crazy.
New York Post is you cannot trust New York Post if you ever see them. They are crazy.
So. Yeah, no, I think the firefighters did a damn good job, and God bless all those people.
Dude, I'm sorry, but that's one thing I was saying. Like, imagine like being a person on the internet and you see first responders running into a fire, and the first thing you say is, "I wonder what their gender and sexuality is," and that's where I'm like, the right wing is also obsessed with these topics, but they're obsessed with it in probably even the worst way because they're just like mad about it. At least if you have a conversation with a progressive, like we can talk about those issues. We can talk about white privilege and all that kind of stuff. And why I don't agree with that terminology, but I agree with the concept of racism being something that we still need to talk about. I don't think they choose the best words to talk about it, but the fact that the right wing is talking about DEI constantly, they're obsessed with it. Like I cannot talk about one topic in America without having wokeism brought up, and it's just like the number one messaging point. And meanwhile, Trump offers zero prices for grocery prices, but yeah, or zero policies for grocery prices. Sorry.
No, I agree with you on most of that, but I hate to change the subject, but what about the purchase of Greenland and all possibly Panama, and in my opinion is that I think the reason why like Trump is actually like purchasing those things as being American territory, or Greenland becoming the 50, or Canada being 51 first state, but that's crazy. I mean, not just like the action alone of actually doing that. Well, yeah, it is, but that's never been done since a long ass time ago. And
a much more violent time in human history, much more violent when that stuff was happening. Land disputes were some of the most bloody conflicts we have, and we see that in Israel right now, honestly. But also, and Russia invading Ukraine. But Trump doing that, it's really interesting because he never spoke about that in the campaign. He talked about groceries, and now all of a sudden, no grocery policies at all, no economic policies other than cutting taxes for the wealthy.
He secured his presidency.
Yeah, exactly. And but they're like, oh, Trump's not a normal politician. Like, yeah, he is. Like, yes, he's probably he lies more blatantly than most politicians would. But like the Greenland stuff, Canada, I think if they're serious about it, we're gonna enter a really dangerous time in global history, because that's going to create conflict. It's going to destabilize our allies. It's going to destabilize the globe in general. If we abandon Ukraine and Taiwan, Russia and China are going to become even bigger superpowers. Like there's big threats like around the entire globe.
Yeah, right. Unless it's because of the of a perceived threat, which uh, agree with. We need more land. We need more territory in order to secure ourselves. Like that's what
But
we.
that's one of the things with allies and not making allies mad and not leaving NATO. Like NATO, the big advantage we get, and Trump talks about they're not paying into it. It's not about paying into it. It's about countries meeting different, internal defense spending. But more countries have met that under Biden than did ever before in history. I think like 28 out of 32 NATO countries or something like that have met their defense funding. But one of the best things is we have our allies in our country, and we are in our allies' countries. We have bases in all of these countries for a reason. And also like Greenland, Trump said he wants it for like a military position. We have a base there. If we wanted to invest more money and put another base in Greenland, they would let us. Like they are very very friendly to us, but they're very friendly to us, and they would let us. That partnership is very strong. In Canada, Donald Trump has the amazing ability to double think, which is a concept in 1984 that they used to manipulate people, that amazing book, where Donald Trump says, I'm going to use tariffs to threaten Canada to make their borders stronger because they have weak borders. But also, I'm going to threaten tariffs so we can have an EU-like relationship with Canada where there are no borders. But also, I'm going to threaten tariffs so that Canada becomes the 51st state. But also, we are against adding more states to the United States. Like, all of these different ideas cannot be in the same ideology or person or even reality. The fact he said all of those things in the past 2 weeks alone there's not a word to describe it. It's manipulation and propaganda. It's not even like dumb. It's not dumb. It's intentional.
It may not even
it's
be
an intentional
that,
story.
honestly. It may not even be that because it could be to the fact that like all these world powers, they're getting ready for war, and I could see it.
But we shouldn't start conflicts with our
like,
allies then if we're getting ready for war. That's probably the worst time to do that. I would say.
Well, true, but like it's kind of like the whole World War II thing, you know what I mean? And it's just like even though France was our ally, they fell, they fell pretty bad, and like it kind of spread, all throughout Europe and stuff
Well,
like
we
that.
shouldn't help them fall then. We should help support them, make them stronger, make our partnership
right,
stronger.
and that's why we we went in there and we helped them, but. I think it's just that China is trying to get Taiwan. They're trying to get because Taiwan is a major chip factory as far as I know. They're very technologically advanced as far as computer chips and stuff like that. And so they China wants that really bad.
Yeah, so it's good that Biden passed
North Korea,
science and the Chips and Science Act. Biden passing that was a big deal for national security. Good job, Biden. He got zero credit for it, but good job, Biden.
And North Korea, they're I think they're basically getting ready with the help of China too, of course, to invade South Korea.
Well, North Korea is helping with Russia.
Ukraine, they're all buddy together.
That's the weird thing. Trump has a lot of Russia people in his campaign. He always has. Like, it's not even a meme. It's not a Russia meme. Like, he literally has like Russian propagandists who have worked and gotten. He was on the payroll of the Kremlin before. Some of his closest advisors. So it's a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a national security issue. I think Trump is a national security issue, and also Elon Musk is, because Elon Musk has a lot of deals with China and Russia and Saudi Arabia as well.
I would definitely agree with that. But the thing is that like you would rather be on good relations, not in a like a weird way of like betraying America kind of way, but being on good terms with other countries. I mean, he even went to North Korea. He was the first president to go across that line, and actually. But
that was a propaganda run that emboldened Kim Jong-un. It actually helped their dictatorship's propaganda. The U.S. got nothing out of that. We just helped them be more legitimate on the world stage.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry, but one thing I'd just ask in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Trump does something or says something, I would always look at the outcome and the actual actions, because he says so many things and people don't care about what he says anymore. They don't care about anything. No one takes anything seriously. I would just say, what did this person do to get this outcome? Because I hear people say that Trump's economy was amazing and Biden's was bad. Meanwhile, Biden passed like 5 pieces of major legislation through Congress. Trump passed 0 major pieces of legislation through Congress other than his tax cuts for the ultra wealthy, because the ones for the little guy, for the working class and middle class, those expired. So like his only achievement was nothing. Like, he wrote off of Obama's economy. He didn't touch anything except the taxes. He literally just wrote off of Obama's economy, and then Joe Biden actually did do stuff. So I would just say, like, judge someone how about like how they perform in their environment versus how someone else would have performed, or just like take into account the environment they live in. Like, you go for a long run, that run's going to be a lot more difficult if you're in 10 feet of snow versus if you're running and it's a sunny day out. You know what I mean? Like, we have to take that into account. And when someone brags about something, give us some proof. Prove your understanding. Don't just say you're a master negotiator. Prove it. Show us what deals you're going to get. Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot. The trade deal we have. I ruined my TikTok clip. Dang it. The trade deal Trump has with Canada and Mexico is the trade deal Trump negotiated. The renegotiated NAFTA, the USMCA, and somehow Trump also complains about that. And that gave more favorable terms to both Canada and the US. But yeah, it's really, I don't know. Sorry.
The way that I gauge everything, mostly is from my own, my own situation and like my own pocketbook. And I mean, I'm not talking to anyone else or any other state but for me, like I my money went a lot further, in Trump's first term than the Biden, presidency. And that's just like from my own experience.
It's funny too because that causes if everyone had that same experience under Trump, that's actually funny because his economic policy might have been really bad because everyone had too much money and was spending too much, and that hyperinflated the economy, leading to COVID where it all burst. But that's one of the things I'm talking about, definitely, because if you take things that's probably why Trump won, because if you take things at face value, then you're gonna think Trump's amazing because Trump did not do anything to deserve your praise. He got a participation trophy, that's what it is. He got a participation trophy.
Right. Well, but what I would also say is that we weren't really involved in any, and Ukraine. I mean, I would agree. We did have to kind of like intervene over there. As far as much as we did, we probably shouldn't have done that. The other UN countries probably should, not probably, they should have contributed a lot more than we did.
They are contributing a similar amount to what the U.S. is, and most of our contributions are like loans and also frozen Russian assets and old weapons.
But I would say that a lot of these countries were deathly afraid of Trump because I would say he does take military action pretty freaking serious.
I think in Afghanistan, ISIS was still killing American troops his entire presidency. He never just whipped out and bombed someone. He assassinated an Iranian general, but
that even before him. That's been around since what 20. Oh shoot!
He abandoned our Kurdish allies.
Trump,
so Saudi Arabia was doing a genocide in Yemen. During a civil war, and we had an arms embargo, and Trump vetoed it. So Trump globally, he did a lot of war. They get away with that term when he's like, he didn't start a new war. The definition of war, as in declaring war on a country, Trump didn't do. But four times more U.S. troops died under Trump's watch, and the world as a whole was more unstable than it is now. But the crises that are happening right now. Those were more publicized and more Americanized. So we have the Ukraine and Israel and Palestine and Russia. Those are more, eye grabbing for the American television. But the civil war in, the issues in Syria and Yemen, and Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan at that time were not publicized in the same way. And Iran as well. That's not going to be as American focused. And people just gave Trump a pass for everything he did. And he had the #1 drone strikes as a president of any president in American history. And he also removed our method of calculating it. So
didn't he do a bunch of drone strikes right when he came in office, not long afterwards, in his first presidency?
And Trump also removed the way that we tracked them, so no one can hold him accountable for doing them. Also, I saw the $5 donation. Let me just say thank you really quick. I saw this earlier. Thank you so much, Sir Craig. I bet you can't. Yo, I agree. I with you on a lot of your points. Can I call in? Craig, if you're still watching, if you go on any of my videos, there is a Discord link. That's also a way to call into the show. If I see you waiting in Discord, I could bring you on. And I see someone in there, and I know you, Dova, so I'm gonna pull someone new in first. But in Discord, go in under one of my videos in the description. Also, if you just like the channel, join our community on there. We have conversations all the time. It's actually pretty ideologically diverse, but we do all agree that we should be defending the Constitution. We have far right, far left, center right, center left, all that kind of stuff. But we do defend the Constitution, and we will never put a man or a king above it. So that's one thing. Join our community on Discord. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, and like I said earlier, channel memberships are $3 a month. If you have any extra dollars laying around, it's $3 per month. Please become a channel member. It really supports independent media. I'm here for like 5 hours a day after working all day, and then I do this and I lack sleep. So please consider becoming a channel member if you enjoy this content. You get custom emotes and also a custom Discord role, and you'll be a special color in the chat. Thank you to all of our moderators as well. Thank you. All right.
If you don't mind me, just saying one more thing, and
yeah, we can wrap up on something for sure.
You're a Christian, right?
Yes.
Do you think that the Revelations is coming true? Like as far as like our condition and the world events, like in your opinion?
No, because we've had plagues, we've had wars that are far worse than what we have now. We've had demagogues that are far worse. We live in a peak of human history right now, but people are just mad because social media is breaking our brains, honestly. So like, yeah, we've had all of these things happen, but much worse before. We're losing sight of that. We're not really giving much thankfulness to what's happening or gratefulness to what's happening globally. And within our own lives. In America, we complain about really pampered and petty issues. Even if you're, pretty poor working class, you still have it pretty good in America. And I know as like a progressive, I sound like a conservative now, but I talk about personal responsibility. I talk about the Constitution. I talk about, individual, just like appreciating being alive and appreciating what God has given us on this great earth. And I don't hear that at all from the right wing in America anymore. It's just anger and vitriol and shame and divisiveness. So yeah, I don't think it is. But as far as Trump goes, if you want to look at like the definition of the Antichrist, of someone who's like lacking substance but very cunning,
Trump,
he's like
yeah,
with the mark on his
I can
like,
kind of see that.
And that's basically any demagogue.
Especially with Elon Musk. But
like, I do think Trump is a very dangerous president, and we're gonna see that. By the way, anyone in chat right now who disagrees, you're gonna find out. We're all gonna find out, but we're not gonna have fun during that process.
Right.
But the world is gonna be a lot more violent in the next 4 years.
If you don't mind me saying, this will be the last thing I'm going to say. So, according to the Bible, and in my personal opinion too as well, is that there's going to be a really big war, and in my opinion, it's already the stage is already being set, especially if we get Canada, Greenland, and Panama, or if we even get Panama, whatever. But the stage is being set, and there's going to be a huge ass war. I mean, huge.
How is it different from the world wars, though? Like, how would you say it's different now?
Oh, it's gonna be way worse. It's gonna be way worse.
Oh no, well, that's not good.
Yeah, no, yeah, and believe me, I've been in war too myself.
Have you ever read 1984?
I think I know like the whole premise, or I know like it's kind of like the gift or the gifter or the gift.
Well, never forget, whenever someone brings it up, it was written by a democratic socialist. So Bernie Sanders' ideology. It was written by a democratic socialist to critique fascism and far-right authoritarianism. Animal Farm was written by the same person to critique far-left authoritarianism. But whenever right-wingers cite 1984, they're lying about it because no one ever reads it. Just don't listen to them, because if you actually read it, it's all about far-right authoritarianism, and a democratic socialist wrote it. Just don't trust them. But Animal Farm is about like extreme authoritarian communism, but that's also nothing compared to what we have today at all. But we are getting closer to 1984, in my opinion. It would definitely be a decent read. And also, another book I recommend is It Cannot Happen Here. It Can't Happen Here. If you ever have a chance, It Can't Happen Here details the rise of like a dictator type person in America, and it's actually pretty spot on with like the rhetoric and who the enemies are of the demagogue leader, and even just sort of like how they talk about America. It's very, very accurate to a lot of politicians today. I definitely recommend that. It's a historical book that someone, I forget his name. I forgot the author's name. It's behind. One second. Look at my short shorts. Okay. I'm wearing a growl fit too. I'm all gray. Okay, this book by Sinclair Lewis. Sinclair Lewis, It Can't Happen Here. Read this book. Highly recommend. Even audiobook. Anyone in chat right now, or you if you read it all. But audiobooks are like podcasts. But Sinclair Lewis,
Okay,
It
yeah,
Can't
I'll
Happen
definitely.
Here.
Okay, it has the barbed wire in the front. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just finish with this real quick. And so, as I was saying, like the stage is being set. There's going to be land grabs and everything. Then there's going to be a huge fucking war. I mean, huge. And then there's going to be a cry of peace. You know, like, hey, like we're all killing each other. We have to, like, we got to stop this war. We got to stop. And how crazy it sounds. Just let me finish. How crazy it sounds. They're going to outlaw religion. I know it sounds fucking crazy, but it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, the
so-
Christians in America right now seem like they want to outlaw other religions, so maybe that'll happen.
Oh, no, it's going to be all religion across the board. And so after that happens, then with like the description of, as far as like the, I guess like the horned beast, the UN fits it perfect because they're all in control, you know, like all these countries and NATO.
I don't
and
know.
stuff like
You're
that.
saying a lot of stuff. Okay, I feel like there's a chance, okay? There's a chance that you're living it right now, and it seems more extreme. But I guarantee you, if you were alive during World War II, you'd be saying the exact same thing. I would just say take it day by day as much as possible. You know, if it happens, it happens. You know, if something bad happens, it happens. GG's. You know, good job, guys. We tried. But yeah, the modern human. This is what I really hate about Trump. Okay, if I want to say that I hate something about Trump, it's that he devolved us so far back into how we talk to each other. We were supposed to avoid this point happening again. You know, we went through these world wars that were so terrible, these holocausts, these authoritarian countries, dictatorships. We were supposed to be transcending this right now and learning from history, but we're just repeating it over and over and over and over again. Yeah. And that's one of the big things.
But the
that
bad
makes
thing
you,
is that we're all human, though, and that's the whole reason why, you know, Christ has to come back down to, you know, like basically, you know, to get us back to where we were, you know, in Adam and Eve. And, you know, and I apologize for anyone who's not a Christian, you know, like, I like, if
and there's also like a million different ways to be Christian too. And ways to interpret the Bible as well.
I wouldn't quite agree with that.
Well, that's an authoritarian type of take, but it's fine if you have that take.
The thing is, like, okay, like we'll take like the, you know, back in the day, you know, the Catholic Church and what they did, you know, like crazy shit. That's why, like, you know, Jesus talked to the Pharisees because they were all about the law and, you know, they're like, man, we are by the book, you know, but he saw right through them. He said, you know, even though you guys are dressed in all these nice clothes and everything like that, but on the inside, you guys are like you're like caskets. You're nice on the outside, but you're dead on the inside. And so there's not really a million ways you can go about being a Christian, different ways. No, there's really one way, and that's really just living by the Spirit of what Jesus Christ has for us. You know, like having Him as our personal Savior.
Okay, I feel like I care. So I think that any Christian who's concerned with their own salvation over helping their neighbors or caring for the earth in general is being anti-Christian as well. So I feel like that is a different way to interpret it, because if you care about that part too much, you're going to care about your own salvation and selfishness instead of doing it for righteous reasons, and that matters a lot.
Oh no,
because like Christians in America, by the way, did not stand up for Haitian immigrants. You know why Haitian immigrants are Christian? Because their country has been decimated by wars and natural disasters. And slavery, and now mission trips are happening every single year for years and years and years. But I'm saying that's why so many Haitians are Christian.
Voodoo and stuff.
No. But most of Haiti is Christian because of missionaries coming from the U.S. And the moment that Trump went after them, all the evangelicals, all the Christians shut up and did not defend them. So if you're going to stand up when it suits you, but sit down when it doesn't, then you are also rejecting Christ. I just want to keep that in mind and make sure you ask for forgiveness for that if you do that. If you did not stand up for those, then you should be defending.
Are you talking to me or
everyone in America? Only America. And globally.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never, you know, downed the Haitians or any people, because,
Yeah, but you need you need a righteousness to act on things as well, because inaction is inaction. So if you did not speak up in defense, if you saw it happening and you did not defend it as well, that is inaction, in my opinion. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to move on to another caller, but I really do appreciate the conversation. It was really good, long conversation. The chat had fun.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for
Donald
taking
Trump
the call.
is against LeBron James in my poll for who is more athletic, and Donald Trump is winning again. Really sad poll. But yeah, thank you for the call. Hope you have a great night.
Well, thank you, man. God bless you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the modern conservative movement is driven by paranoia, fear, and anger. Everyone that calls in ends with something really doomer. They believe the world is collapsing and there's no way to stop it, and they're voting for Trump as their final FU to humanity. It's a recurring theme. It's a very recurring theme. Super judgment and insecure. Shut up. I don't quote Animal Farm to go against Republicans. Republicans quote Okay, Republicans quote 1984 to go after liberals. I don't quote Animal Farm to go after Republicans because I'm not dumb. That's the point of me bringing up 1984, is that Republicans use it because no one actually reads it. Because 1984, there's like 3 ultra countries, and they use the same propaganda techniques, the doublethink that Trump uses. That's like the main point of the Trump campaign. But like 1984, when you can't say a slur on the internet. When you can't say a slur on the internet, then all of a sudden it's 1984. That's not 1984. Rewriting history is. Rewriting history is definitely. Just like saying that Donald Trump never tried to overturn an election. Or saying that like the COVID censorship, okay, the COVID censorship that happened under Donald Trump is Joe Biden's fault. The COVID censorship is Joe Biden's fault. It's Joe Biden's fault that Meta got rid of Mark Zucker, or no, that Meta banned Donald Trump after January 6th. It's Biden's fault that Trump got banned from social media during Trump's presidency. It's actually powerful. It's insane how powerful Democrats are. Democrats were able to steal an election. Okay? They were able to steal an election with Trump in office as president, with Trump in office. But with Joe Biden in office, they couldn't steal it. They could not get it done. That's insane power. That's crazy, bro. Every conversation with a conservative on social media or in my personal life or anywhere, it ends up with them just saying Donald Trump won, haha, see you in 4 years. We go down this whole logic tree of that never happened. Even if it did happen, I don't care. And if it did happen, then it might be a good thing. And then if I prove them completely wrong, they say, haha, we won, Donald Trump in 4 years. And that shows the entire mentality of anti-intellectualism and just like not taking shit into your own hands and not taking personal responsibility with any decision you ever make. Like we're going to see in 4 years, and things are going to get bad for everyone. But enjoy your like 5 seconds of the honeymoon phase where nothing's happening because he's not even president yet. Have fun your first like 2 weeks. Enjoy your very fun stage in this relationship. But you're going to see someday when Elon Musk is worth $5 trillion in 2 years and we're all surveilled by drones outside, that Donald Trump's promises to use the U.S. military on our citizens and to give unrestricted power to big tech companies, he's completely honest about that part. I don't know why you guys are so pro big tech company now. What happened? Is it because Mark Zuckerberg will go on Joe Rogan and pretend to hunt and pretend to hate pronouns and pretend to be anti-DEI now? Is that why you're pro big tech now? Is it that easy to convince you? Is it that easy to manipulate you? The ruling ultra wealthy class of our owners that own us, they never thought it would be so easy to convince so many working class people to abandon the working class and to worship ultra wealth and authority and authoritarianism. Corporations are governments. If you care about getting rid of big government, you should care about getting rid of ultra wealthy. Our founding fathers made this country for a reason. They made our Constitution for a reason. Big tech lied to you. You mean big tech lied because you believe fake things? Ooh. I subscriber only mode right now? Now I am. Losers. All right, my call lines are open again, buddy. By the way, whoever Venmo'd me, I'm sorry. If you say your Discord name and get in there, definitely bring you on. But there's a lot of people. We've had like 800 people this entire stream, 600 people, whatever. There's tons of people calling in. I want to be able to find you. The best way is to donate something to Venmo. If you donate to Venmo with your phone number and your name, I could look for you and your number. If you donate $5 or more, I'll take you first in my call list. But since you already super chatted, you can send like, you know, whatever. But that's the best way to get on for a definite call is through Venmo. But in super chats, it's really hard to track it down. There's a lot, as you can hear, there's a lot of people calling. But I really appreciate it.
Call from
Mason Johnston.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
To accept, press 1.
Whoops.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello.
Good day.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing quite well. I'm calling because I've been listening to your show the past few days, or your live stream the past few days. Really like it. I do disagree with you on a lot of it, but it's very good to hear this independent, this non-government funded or large media funded independent thought happening. It's great to see. But I got a few questions because it's interesting to see your perspectives, and I'd like to know a little more information about it. So I just got a couple questions for you.
All right, go ahead. Sounds
So
good. Appreciate
first,
it.
or was it? You say ruin America. I do agree that Trump is going to be a very bad influence on America, though I do come from a fiscally and socially conservative opinions. I do think that Trump is a very bad influence on America, and I would like to know what you think by ruin, because when I think ruin, it could be economically ruined, it could be permanently ruined, it could be temporarily ruined, socially ruined. What do you mean by ruined, or what's your biggest concern when it comes to ruined America?
The way we have conversations is completely dead. Now people talk in 3-word slogans, and they're unable to deviate from that. All they care about in the Republican Party right now is supporting Trump. Just today, Mike Johnson removed a top oversight Republican. What's his name? The House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner, a very strong conservative for a very long time, very trusted. He was removed because he's not worshiping Donald Trump, because he's not going to bow to every request from Trump. So that is a sign of extreme authoritarianism and cult of personality, no matter how you slice it, whether you like Trump's policies or not. The fact they're removing anyone who's not a loyalist, the fact they want to purge 4-star generals. Donald Trump said John Kelly, a 4-star general and a gold star father, he said he is a weak and pathetic man. And in the same sentence said Vladimir Putin is a strong man. And he's also said that he loves how China rolls over the people with an iron fist. Trump has these inclinations and beliefs that he should be the ultimate, that he puts himself above God. And any moral person needs to admit that, but I hear people admit that and then say, well, we don't care because he's going to mess up the system. And I'm like, well, someone with that character is never a good leader. If Ronald Reagan came back today, he'd be like, what the hell is going on with the way Trump dehumanizes immigrants. And he does dehumanize. It's not just talking tough. The purposeful explanation of these illegal alien vermin scum who are poisoning the blood of America is borrowing from really destructive leaders. I won't say his name because people think it's a buzzword now. But yeah, it's really challenging. But right now, no one can decide what reality is. We can't tackle any issue in an honest way. They see firefighters running into problems in California, of course. I've said this many times. The first thing they think about is gender pronouns and sexuality. And DEI programs, although like DEI was 3% of the firefighting force in California, and they can't help but lie about literally everything. We can't even have an honest debate. And now they're going to tie up the California emergency funding with Trump's deficit spending. Like they want to put it together, so they're forced to pass Trump's deficit spending in the House, or they're not going to give emergency funding to California. All of those ways we're degrading society is leading to a society that doesn't trust any science or logic or fact or anything. No one cares about fact or anything when you vote for Trump now, and it's really just it's troubling in general for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. You said you wouldn't say you'd liken to, but who I'd liken Trump's policies and Trump's rhetoric to especially would be former President Andrew Jackson, who I believe he stated was his favorite president, especially in regards to his borderline or downright racist rhetoric, and especially in regard to immigrants, as you said, and how his tariff policies, his almost neo-expansionist policies, they've definitely, I think, aligned with him in I don't think history viewed him in a good light. They're not going to view Trump in a good light. I don't think anybody, conservative, Democrat, anything, whatever
No.
term you want to use.
The
is a good
1800s were
term
not
to
fun. The fact they keep talking about the Gilded Age, like we're going back to the Gilded Age policies. The Gilded Age was not a fun time to be alive, and 1800s were not fun to be alive during Andrew Jackson's reign and during like land grabs. Those land grabs were bloody. They never. It's not like everyone thinks it's like they're kids, like we're just yelling at a schoolyard. Like, no, these are real people and real things that happen in the real world. But social media desensitized us so much from what's happening.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that I feel like Trump is going to bring about a modern version of what occurred then. It's going to be I don't believe he's a true conservative. I believe he runs on conservatism because he believes that will get him votes, and that's just politics right there. I think he's going to be do irreparable damage to the conservative movement. He's going to do irreparable damage to America, and I think he's going to do irreparable damage to the world. And I think that we've seen how that's happened in the past with even who he admires, especially Putin, Xi, Andrew Jackson, and it should have been writing on the wall. But I think, as you said, the Conservative Party, the Republican Party, it should just be a conservative party, but at this point, it's just the party of Trump.
Well, that's the issue. It was not a vote between like Kamala Harris or normal liberalism. She's a typical liberal. Like her policies were like small business focused. She was not talking about like Bernie Sanders taxing the wealthy or whatever. She was talking about very basic stuff that probably would have been on a Romney plan even. And like her policies were not extreme, but the vote was between an authoritarian. He's not a conservative. No part of him is conservative. He does not care about anything at all. He is there for power. He was a Democrat or Republican whenever it made sense. He cares about what's going to get him power in that scenario. That's why he never has any policies. And I feel like the issue right now too, the American people are not demanding any standard from politicians. At least if a politician lied about something, they had to try. Now Donald Trump is giving Elon Musk a space in the White House. Unelected, and now Elon Musk is aiming at unelected deep state bureaucrats as if that's a bad thing, when in reality, I know bureaucrats. They are people who are taking pay cuts to work in public industries because they're passionate about doing it. Most of our deep state bureaucrats they want to fire are very good. And they don't make money. They could be making more money in private markets, but they do this job because they care. But somehow the richest man in the world is convincing us to hate our neighbor instead of, just thinking about anything in factual terms. And yeah, no one can have any critical thoughts anymore, or you're a gay liberal. If you think thoughtfully about anything, you are a rhino or a gay beta liberal or a socialist or a communist or something else. If you even talk about even fiscal conservatism, Donald Trump wants to raise the deficit as his first action as president. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's doing damage that we may never be able to reverse. I've seen it that in any time when a president has done what it seemed like irreparable damage to America, that we have been able to slowly recover through efforts, especially akin to progressive conservatism and liberalism. More conservative liberalism, in my opinion, has been very good at trying to reverse the policies, almost like a treatment for the damage that's done by people such as Donald Trump. And I think that we'd have to see somebody much closer to the center sometime in the future, 2028, 2032 elections, if we want to see any damage that he's doing, especially when it comes to political extremism and politically extreme
well,
rhetoric.
In populist eras, we need someone who knows how to hold a microphone. We need someone charismatic. I mean, that's the person that could beat a Trump. It's not even just like, okay, you have these policies. It's about, can you sway the masses and help get their emotions on your side? Because that's what Trump does. He's an emotional person. He gets votes because of emotions, and he can use people's fears and anxieties to shut their brains down. FDR, there was a huge white nationalist movement in the U.S. during FDR's reign. And when he campaigned and everything, the radio first came out, and we know FDR for the fireside chats, but we don't even appreciate that because they made rules that like neo-Nazis couldn't just go on those sites to rant because they were getting a lot of power. We have that famous the famous rallies in New York and a couple other different areas. A lot of Americans were sympathetic with Hitler. But FDR had to know how to master the microphone and the media environment at the time. You could even say the same with like JFK and television being a thing. The first ever televised debate was JFK versus Nixon. And that played a big role in JFK being so successful because he was attractive and he knew how to look at a camera. Nixon did not. Nixon later found out how to appear better on a camera and he was able to win later. But right now we need someone to dominate the current media structure. But it is scary because now you have Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and all these other big tech giants Whereas the Democrats would investigate them at least a little bit and talk about like trust busting, which is a very simple, even for the free market, that's a very simple concept of, too big is bad. We don't want one. We do not want one super corporation. But all these AI people, Sam Altman, OpenAI, all the Google CEO, and also there's one more. They're going to be on a pedestal on a platform at Trump's inauguration. And when we had police states in the past, you talk about like 1984, and no one understands what that book is even about. We are heading towards a more realistic version of 1984 than we had ever before. Because now, when they have authoritarianism, they have so many more tools. Like they can type in a name to an AI and find anyone they want instantly to scan the entire internet. AI is unprecedented. And now we have a government that's not going to help be a leader at all. And in fact, like Facebook's different issues with sharing information unethically of their users and lying to their users. Now Mark Zuckerberg, Trump threatened to put him in jail. Now Mark Zuckerberg's playing ball with them. So when they use our data to train AI, they steal our data. When they use our likeness and our voices and all that stuff, when they track us daily with facial recognition technology, we have zero response and zero politicians to hold us accountable because Donald Trump is not going to limit that at all. And that's probably the play to get him in there. I don't think he understands how government works at all. I don't think he understands a single thing about government. He knows the branding. He knows what words he needs to say. And that's why all of his fans now are repeating the same 5 words on repeat. Trump won, get over it. Too big to rig. We're going to tariff countries and make them pay their fair share. We're subsidizing Canada because we don't know how a trade deficit works. We think a trade deficit is a subsidy for a country, which is one of the dumbest things ever. Anti-intellectualism, when they start going after, you can tell authoritarianism is here when they go after doctors, when they go after academia, when they go after scientists, when they go after every form of intelligence at all or critical thought, including like Stalin did it with religion. No one knows that Adolf Hitler went after the socialists and communists and liberals first. First priority was getting rid of the political opponents. But the only thing people remember about Hitler, the only thing we remember is that he didn't like Jewish people. So now they think, oh, you cannot be an authoritarian if you don't like pick a certain ethnic group to not like. But that's not the key function. It's going after political opponents in a violent way.
Okay, I think I got one last question for you. This damage Trump does to the country, less so economically, more so his damage to political rhetoric, political discourse in America, as you've said, how he's going to replace the government not with elected officials but with appointed officials. How long do you think it's going to take to repair this damage if, say, the results of the 2028 election go somewhat favorably to the side of progressivism, progressive conservatism, liberalism, somewhere more there as opposed to Trump, which is leaning farther and farther away from actual American political ideology and more towards, as you said, 1984 type political ideology? How long do you think it's going to take before we get back to a better place socially, a better place politically in the United States after Trump's presidency?
I would say we probably need a party that's just pro-constitution and pro-freedom. That's probably going to be the party that comes up. It'll probably be similar to, we keep on, God, it's so crazy. They're calling this the golden age. Have you seen that before?
I've heard some talks from my more conservative friends about some golden age.
The golden age. They're literally using the phrase of the Gilded Age, but now it's the golden age, and we're entering. This is the Gilded Age. We are in the Gilded Age part 2. This is the Gilded Age with an inequality, with the big business leaders. It's the same stuff. The tariffs, everything. We're in the new Gilded Age. The issue is whenever a leader that's very powerful and has authoritarian tendencies, if Donald Trump is still alive and able to speak when something goes bad with the economy, because I think it will. I don't think there's any chance that things don't go bad. Even with like the bird flu, if the federal government is not helping, egg prices are going to be $20. Like chickens are dying.
Yeah.
But issues like that, if anything bad happens at all, it's not going to be managed. And when law enforcement is shut down, like Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense is one of the like at the same time when they're saying DEI is leading to unqualified hires, Pete Hegseth is one of the most pathetic people to ever be even mentioned in the conversation of not even just being in the military, but Secretary of Defense. He's 6 ranks off from top, and also he's a crazy drunk who has assaulted people very credibly. I'm not even going to say like the nature of the assault, but he has assaulted women in one way or another, physically or physically in the other way. But like that, just that alone, and the fact people are okay with it, and the fact that we're questioning what the polio vaccine is, We're questioning if the polio vaccine is good anymore, if it needs to be mandated for kids. So now vaccine rates dropped from 99% in 2020 to lower than 90% already. It's crashed down at an astounding rate. So let's say vaccination rates among kids goes to 60% in 5 years. How long does it take to get people back up on that issue? The issue is, typically in these scenarios, it takes a huge crisis for people to snap back into reality, because Americans are very pampered. You know, we don't have wars on our soil very often. We don't go through that many problems directly. If it is COVID, we had the best economic recovery from COVID, but people still complained because our tax wasn't $1. Meanwhile, gas was $7 in Europe, but they still do live 8 years longer than we do, because their societies are more healthy in general, and they limit like chemicals in the food. But yeah, we don't understand what it is to see like a society collapsing, and Europe still remembers that because we fought the wars in Europe. Even you know, those countries like Ukraine and Germany are the same distance as like Texas and New Mexico or something crazy.
Yeah.
But like it'll take something big to shock Americans back into reality. But the issue is when there's someone in power like this, they are more than happy to say, all right, something's going bad. We're going to share a bunch of AI films. I'm scared they're going to make up evidence of false crimes and tell their supporters to go hurt their fellow Americans. If you see a liberal on your street, we got to take care of them. They are the cause of this economic crash. You see someone who looks like an immigrant, take them into your own hands. The military won't do it. The police won't do it. You need to. The militias of America need to stand up. And Trump already said, stand back or stand back and stand by to the Proud Boys. And the Proud Boys were the first people in the Capitol on January 6th. If you're not a conspiracy theorist, they were the first people in the Capitol on January 6th. They broke in. It's leading towards that, and I'm really scared that that's going to happen. I'm actually pretty confident it's going to happen to some extent. I just don't know how bad. And also, Donald Trump has given orders to shoot protesters, so we might see another. Crap! I keep forgetting what school is. We might see another Kent State massacre. We're gonna see another Kent State massacre. I bet we're going to. I think we're going to. I'd probably put money down that we're going to, because Trump wanted to before. He wanted to do far worse than that. We might see civilians slaughtered by the U.S. military on a level never seen before in America. But Trump may be kidding. He might be bluffing. You know, Donald Trump, we can't take anything seriously. Maybe he is kidding. Maybe this is all just to make us fight on social media while they steal all of the money in society and make a surveillance state, and we just like live like this forever. Great. I don't know which outcome is going to be, because Russia and China are not sitting still, and Trump is going to pull out of NATO and leave all of our allies defenseless. We're going to be another isolationist U.S. during another world war. Something bad is going to happen. That's what I'm saying.
Well, just to press you for an answer, when do you think is the most likely time that big shock is going to happen to Americans, to shock them into realizing that all the bad that's happened? Would it be a war, pandemic, et cetera, et cetera? What do you think is the most likely?
Sooner the better, probably, but it's also not a good thing. But as far as like recovering, I guarantee Republicans are going to pass some type of law to really hinder voting throughout the U.S. So it's going to need to get pretty bad to vote them out. But yeah, they're definitely going to pass something to make it extremely hard to vote. So some type of like voter ID where it like costs money to get, and they're going to shut down election offices where you could possibly get it. So if you don't have a car, you can't get to the offices in certain areas that are predominantly Democratic voters. Like, they have tried doing this before. But if they're going to condition disaster aid to California, and if Americans are so propagandized that they'll cheer that on, they're given free reign to do literally anything. So if it can pass, it's going to pass, and you're not allowed to be a Republican in Congress or Senate if you say no to Trump. If you say no to Trump, you're out, and it's scary. No one should put a man above God or a man above the Constitution. But they were asking Pete Hegseth and all the other nominees for the cabinet, would you put the Constitution above Donald Trump? Our military is supposed to do that, and they would not answer. So,
well, I'm scared that with the results of the election in November, that this now Republican Party cult of personality of Donald Trump now has control of the Supreme Court, the Senate, the House, and the executive branch. What's the first time in quite a long time, from what I can recall, that a party has had control of all four parts of the main governing bodies of the United States. And I'm scared that, given that it's now the Republican Party is no longer the Republican Party, it's the cult of Trump, that we're going to see these voter IDs akin to poll taxes, these hostile actions against our NATO allies, etc. That's what's going to happen. Do you share that fear, you would say?
Yeah, NATO is a big concern for me, and also AI in general. Oh God, if they wanted to, they could make a video of anyone doing anything, and people will believe it. They'll believe all of it. And
Especially now that Trump has Musk on his side.
yeah, Musk, he controls all social. He can, he controls all media. They're removing fact checking from every social media site. So let's say local law enforcement is usually more right leaning. Let's say they're Trumpified. Let's say the federal agents are now being fired if they do their job. That's Trump. FBI, Trump. No, even like not even any compromised candidate at all. National intelligence, that's Trump. And those are like Tulsi Gabbard is a foreign agent. Like she is a foreign agent. RFK, health, that's Trump. The Secretary of Defense, that's Trump. Every form of law enforcement, it doesn't matter. Trump has already proven to be, I think a big point of this is that democracy has worked in the U.S. for a long time. We do not live in an oligarchy. We have never lived in oligarchy. Although I agree the rich have a lot of power as a progressive, we are entering an oligarchy. We are entering one. Finally, we've never done it before, but we have proven that if the voters vote for it, we will do it. Including if the voters vote in a way that says the Constitution does not matter. The Constitution no longer matters. And yeah, we're at a point where the Constitution. I heard conservatives talk about personal responsibility, talk about fiscal responsibility, talk about the Constitution, talk about being a hard worker. All that stuff is gone. So if they just say, you know what, we don't care about the Constitution, I would not be surprised, especially considering Donald Trump already said that multiple times and no one cared. So yeah.
I'd just like to end this off by saying, as a conservative, I think the only thing that can save the Republican Party now is the Democratic Party and progressivism.
It needs to be, like I said before, it needs to be, I feel like we should just have a constitutionalist party. Like we should just have, if you're a constitutionalist, whether you're a progressive, liberal, Republican, we'll pick a candidate out of all of us voting, and that candidate will be against the authoritarians. That needs to be how it is. Like we can't have any, even like these progressives who are super ideologically pure, they need to be on the team too. Like they need to not say, this is the lesser of two evils. And like, no, every election is like that. We need to vote for freedom and our founding fathers' vision of where America should be and the freedoms that we should be entitled to as humans. And go back to the natural rights and all that kind of stuff. We need to start at that base point where we build society from, because that's all gone. But yeah, vaccines, maybe it might take polio coming back for vaccines to be accepted. I just hope that no one who wants to be vaccinated is denied a vaccine. Like the bird flu right now. That vaccine might need to be authorized under either early or emergency authorization if bird flu jumped from human to human. Now, is Trump going to block that? Because whatever they say isn't true. They say freedom of speech. They don't really care about that. They say they're pro vaccine choice. They don't care about that. What if they just start banning vaccines in these states? And then all of a sudden we have polio come back in Alabama. And even if you're vaccinated against these diseases, you're not safe, because if you're vaccinated, repeated exposure can still get you. So it's like, and people, yeah, I don't know. The easiest low-level propaganda wins. And that's how people consume their media now. So I don't know. Maybe if egg prices get high enough, but I'm not even convinced by that, because my biggest Trump supporters that I know, they've already said, you know what? I don't know how tariffs work, but if prices get more expensive for a while, I'm okay with that because I trust Trump. So I don't know. Maybe we're just done. Maybe we're just due for 15 years of struggle, 10 or 15 years. Just like that's usually how long it lasts. Maybe we're due for 10 years and we need to try to survive through it.
I agree. I think what we need is some from the ground up party. We need some from the ground up movement that is not just led by members of one party, but led by groups from every party, from every wing of American politics, from every sect of American society. And I think that's the only thing that's going to save current America from the wrath of King Donald. Thank you for the call.
King, thank you for calling in. I keep asking everyone, be pro-Constitution. I'm getting a validation from everyone that I'm getting them to re-up their oath to the Constitution whenever I talk to a Trump supporter. So I'm doing whatever I can. But thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Bye.
See, that's the conversation you got to have before bed. It's a fun conversation. It's lighthearted for the family, All right, guys. It's Discord time. If you want to come in Discord and chat, I'll be in the community hangout, okay? I'm done taking calls for tonight. But we're going in the community hangout on Discord. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to play some Rocket League. Please drop a like and subscribe. And like I said, it's not going to be very fun to be doing this in a few weeks. If you have any chance to do $3 a month, I made them $3 on purpose so they're easy and accessible. Please consider becoming a channel member. And like I said, you get access to a special chat in Discord eventually, a special role in Discord, and also you can be green in chat and support the channel. But thank you all for watching. Please drop a like and subscribe. If you come on the Discord, there's a Discord link in every subscription or in every description on my channel. But I am losing my ability to talk coherently because I'm getting tired. So I'm going to hop in Discord and see whoever comes in. But thank you all. Subscribe. Josh. MAGA is so gay. They love being dominated by Daddy Trump. Hope they get everything they voted for. Thank you, Josh. The puss. Josh the puss, like octopus. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the $5. And Craig, if you're here, go in Discord now. How do you guys think about Josh the puss? What do you think about that? Am I in subscriber only mode? No, I'm not. You wait and see. You people that you think you're so damn tough. You wait and see. No, we're saying wait and see. Not like you're interpreting it. We're saying that Trump right now is in the honeymoon phase. You know what I mean? Like, you meet a girl or a guy, you know, the first few weeks are awesome. And then you realize after you move in and have 10 kids, you're like, wow, this person sucks. I'm just saying that might happen. You know, when you first meet someone, it's great. It's fantastic. You're on top of the world. But I'm just saying, prepare for the snap back to reality. Whoa, there goes gravity. Whoa, there goes gravity. Choked. So mad, but he won't give up that easy. Nope. You know what they say, man. You know what they say. The link is expired? Which link? One of the links in my Discord is expired? Or to my Discord? Here's another Discord link if someone's not working. We keep going up in viewers. Guys, hit subscribe. What are you doing? We're progressive politics. Man, this channel's growing quick. Thank you, Sprig. We're at 15,624 already. Crazy. Crazy. All right, let me get this set up real quick. Remember, come to this Discord community hangout. Please. Dova left the moment I joined. Loser. Alright, cool. My capture card won't work, so I cannot use Call of Duty yet. So sad. What's up?
What's up, man?
You been watching it all?
I've been in and out. I just stepped out, got back, saw you were transitioning viewers, went to the live chat, and then you were here, so I joined back.
Yep,
that's a play-by-play for you.
Yeah, I told everyone I'm going into the Discord, but no one came to talk to us, so no one came. So sad. No one came.
Are you view botting? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I am view botting. Because
I wouldn't
all the
blame
viewers
you.
are bots. All the viewers are bots. That's basically YouTube Shorts. I'm using these view bots to get actual viewers. So
I wouldn't disagree after hearing some of the callers tonight. Like, that shit was crazy.
Did you hear the guy about the COVID stuff, the in vitro or whatever?
That's when I joined. Yeah, that's when I got off work.
That guy, dude. The fact I can't believe he said that. Like I'm like, what the.
The COVID guy, like the religion guy.
Bro, in vitro does not mean out the body. It means in glass, bro. Like, shut up.
Yeah, that's one of those words. You know how I'm always telling you to define that? It's because I just want to explain what something means. I'm like, that's not what it means, right? It's that's not what it means.
Like in this context, they literally the point of the word, the Latin root, is that it's not in the body anymore. If you want to say in glass, sure, that's what it means. But also, my point is obviously correct because I'm saying in this context, The reason I'm even talking about that is because obviously the test with ivermectin or whatever was done outside of the body. That's the only part of this that matters. It doesn't matter that it was in glass. It matters that it was not in the body. And when you have it in the body, the dosage needed to kill these cells would kill the person taking the ivermectin. Like you need like an insane dose to even like affect anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know nearly enough about that drug to like speak on its efficacy,
Yeah,
but
I just read a couple of the clinical studies. I read the ones that they give me for like what's supposed to prove that it works. But all the studies, you literally go down and it's like, okay, there was a slight increase for patients that took ivermectin, but right below it is none of the results were statistically significant. And I'm like, I don't know if I can explain what statistics significance is to people from like stats or whatever. Like, that means the difference is too small for it to establish any causation, correlation versus causation. Yeah.
yeah, like the
Yeah,
R
they
square
misunderstood.
is not statistically relevant, and or maybe they didn't have the study. So that's like a kind of a to be statistically relevant, you have to hit like a lot of kind of points. So that study could also just not be saying what they didn't do. They might have just not asked uh, 30 or more people, right? To get a normal distribution, your population or your sample size has to be a minimum of 30 people. At the same time, it's it couldn't have maybe it didn't produce like an R square that showed statistical relevance. Who knows? You don't know.
Yeah.
I would say that 30 isn't even a big enough population size
That
to make
that
any sort
that
of like
is the
definitive like
definition of a
results.
normal distribution. That's the literal fucking definition. You need 30 or more observations to form a normal or log normal distribution. That's the minimum requirement.
I think he's just saying he want a bigger, yeah, for his standards.
Yeah,
I would just
but
prefer
I'm
a
telling
bigger
him by
population pool.
the mathematics definition, what scientists rely on is 30 or more.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Did he curse you out or something? He just said he doesn't. He doesn't.
No, I had
thinks 30 is too
I had a
small.
fucking long day at work. It was 10 hours.
Okay. I streamed for 10 hours. I did do his
I was
day
writing
stream today.
Python code, like
Yeah.
yeah, it was not great.
So Joel, did you get a chance to talk about Trump getting Mike Johnson to oust all these people in the subcommittees?
Yeah, I talked about the intelligence. I think I did record like a mini segment on it, but there's that one intelligence committee guy that was like a long Republican that's like really, really good, I guess, and really trusted, and they got him kicked out. That is crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. Nothing's crazy. I mean, I'm basically at the point where I'm like, yeah, I mean, things need to go really bad for people to change their minds. Or they need to at least get in office, bro. Because, like, they're really enjoying this whole not being in charge thing. I want him in office as soon as possible. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, take some ownership for your shit. Like, come on.
I mean, even when he is in office, he's just going to blame the Democrats for everything.
Yeah, if things got bad enough, though, if you're in charge, if things get bad, that mythology is going to go a little bit for at least some voters. So, like, it's like, okay, buddy, why are you still complaining? Like, I thought we were having a party, but like the party's over. Now we're like, you're driving drunk. Like, calm down. Like, why are we swerving? Like, Trump, what are you doing? Trump, I thought we were gonna fix grocery prices. Why are we killing each other? It's like, I think that might happen, but I just hope it doesn't happen too late.
I think you guys are taking it a little too seriously.
Oh, you shut up. You
No,
gotta
I'm
read
not.
a book.
I'm not. You know, Jola, I'm not like a fucking MAGA guy, right?
No, you gotta read a book, brother. Unless if you think he's
But
not
I'm
that
also
serious of a
saying
person.
what the Democrats said. You're saying what the Republicans said about the Democrats when Biden was in office. You're just
No, but the
inversing,
Democrats,
like,
the Democrats were doing nothing at all in any similarity whatsoever to what Trump is doing right now. Like ousting every member of the party that's
you're
not
right.
a
They
loyalist to
weren't
Trump.
doing anything. It's the exact opposite. He's doing too much. They're doing too little. Right? They're just.
Well, Democrats are not willing to do the same propaganda that Trump is, so people are going to believe the more convincing propaganda. It's not.
I mean, Democrats at a certain point did the propaganda themselves.
But not, they don't just openly just directly lie about things like that's happening in reality.
Against themselves.
Well,
They
if a
didn't
Democrat was
do
doing this, I'd be
anything.
speaking out against them. And Democrats, I mean, we literally got Joe Biden out because he looked too old. You know, we would never follow like a dictator or a wannabe dictator, or we would never like. You never see people building statues of a leader unless if that statue is is of an authoritarian. It's only authoritarians that get statues built because people fall in love with them. They don't even think about them as like politicians anymore. They're like gods to them. It's never good if you're idolizing politicians to that level. Definitely not. Ooh. Unless if they're gone
there are,
already.
like,
If they're dead already,
there are
then sure.
certain Okay. All right. I'm glad you said that.
But when they're still alive, yeah, that's cultism. Yeah. Historical is different, definitely, like 100%. Like you want to respect the founding fathers for like their accomplishments and all that shit. Yeah, definitely. But that's something. Yeah, you memorialize someone doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's this guy in your chat that just said the head of Moderna was just indicted. I want to look this up. Because that
Well, I
does
mean,
not
because
sound true.
see, even if it was true, I don't care because the issue is when the left says like, okay, we don't trust pharmaceutical. It's because of the profit. It's not because we don't trust the doctors and the scientists. They don't trust the doctors and the scientists. We don't trust we don't want to be charged too much for the medications that we need to survive. But they think like vaccines are dangerous, or they believe like pseudoscience and alternative medicine. Complete yeah.
The head of Moderna was not indicted. I just looked it up on the Bloomberg terminal. It is not a story that exists.
Oh, you're not looking at the right news.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you for fact checking that.
Yeah, I'm not looking up the right news.
It was really hard to fact check that, by the way. It took a lot of effort. It took like all day.
I mean, I just used a program that cost $2,200 a month.
Yeah, you have to have premium software to Google something. To be honest.
I just want to make sure it was fucking right. Like, I just want to make sure I could shit on him.
No one cares about being right anymore, dude. They care about sounding cool. Like,
They really do. I just joined your channel to talk about economics and be like, hey, I think you're wrong about like certain things, but I think you're right about other things.
They're realizing a lot of Americans don't know what the hell's going on at all.
I think what I just said, like it takes a sample size of 30 to make a normal distribution. I think they're finding they're on the tails of those things. But I think that's also a nuanced perspective, right? Because like some things you're probably more middle, but other perspectives you're probably more left or right, depending on the person. So don't be fucking stupid. Like make up your own mind about something. That's my take.
Well, they brand themselves as free speech, independent minds, but in reality, if you need to constantly say something about yourself instead of proving it through your actions, you probably are not actually that. So like if you need to say, if someone brags about being strong or they brag about having a hot girlfriend from a different school, you usually call their bluff. Or if they brag about like we support I'm an independent thinker. It's like, okay, well, you don't need to tell me that. You don't need to convince me that. Or Trump saying, I'm so smart. Okay, well, prove that you're smart through actually being smart. You don't need to like you're doing more convincing that you're smart than actually proving it. So people need to care more about proof. And that's why I keep saying about the economy with like a lot of it was like participation stuff, just like what's happening in the world, like Trump's economic plan. Even the tax cuts, people can't even like talk about what those are. They don't know. They think like the sunset provision for the lower and middle class. They thought that was a Joe Biden increase. They didn't know that that was in the original bill with Trump.
Well, so it wasn't we should talk about what it like. If you're talking just like how many viewers do you have? 900.
Well, right now it's 300 to the end of stream.
Right now.
That's pretty high, honestly, for the end for the end for sure.
Yeah, especially if you're doing like community hangout.
Yeah, and no one's coming.
I wouldn't call it an increase, right? Like it from where the cut was, it's like a step up from the cut, but it doesn't return us to the normal value. Right? It's like you're stepping towards where it was once. You're leading people off of the tax cut, which I think is a rather ethical way of coming back from a cut. You're not just forcing them back to where they were.
Yeah, but they blame Biden for that.
Those cuts
is the issue.
weren't like those cuts weren't sundown like universally. It was only like for the lower half of the people who just received the cuts.
Is that true?
Yeah, it was only for the the rich, the ultra wealthy taxes stayed the same, I believe, or at least the corporate. Is it top 1% too? And
It was
corporate?
I think it was the corporate, which makes sense because that's two different policies.
Yeah, look up the income tax as well. I'm playing Rocket League, but did the income tax sunset for the rich, or did that? Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Understanding the 2026 tax sunset implications.
Oh, I almost missed that shot.
Did
Have to
this
check Fox
happen, or does
News.
it happen in 2026?
Yeah, we're at 400 viewers with Rocket League playing. I'll take it, dude. Dude, this channel's growing so fast. I could barely even comprehend it, dude.
Did you see my Discord DM?
Oh, I'm not sure if I did. I haven't. My Discord's been like insane. I have to go through all of it.
Just look up Dova. Your title was
He said Pfizer, not Moderna. He said Pfizer got the thing, not Moderna, or whatever.
he typed Moderna. All right. Well
He
played,
said,
GG's.
now he said Pfizer, not Moderna.
All right.
I hate ones in Rocket League. Ugh.
That is also not true.
You're here for the debate? Well, Harmon, we're not debating right now. We were debating.
Oh,
if you want to see the
I'm
earlier
debating
debates.
chat. The
Yeah.
guy who said Moderna's head was indicted, and then he said, and that was not true. Then said, oh no, it was Pfizer's head that was indicted. That is also not true. That's not a story that.
Well, I think Fauci should go to jail too for some reason. I'm not sure why. Because the vaccine
Have
is
you
a
looked at him?
bioweapon.
He deserves to be in jail just by the way he looks.
Because
Oh my
everybody
God,
knows that
the guy
Jola is
who
actually a
outlawed- he
closeted
could outrun
conservative.
Trump.
I would be conservative if I found stats that backed up the arguments. I would honestly believe with. I mean, I hold myself at that position typically, economically. But like, there's some policies that conservatives would hate that are actually very effective, like self-injection or safe injection sites, to accomplish a few goals. That like conservatives just ignore the fact and logic on. But that's like usually social policies are a lot more effective because the right is obsessed more with like punitive policies that punish rather than rehabilitate, or rather than like provide treatment for people. They just want to like kill people. We're gonna kill all the drug dealers.
I think the first time we like spoke, right? You said that I was like a fence sitter for being like centrist, but like the only thing I think I know about, the only thing I'll admit to knowing anything about, is probably finance and economics. And you just said that economics would convince you to be conservative, but I would say that your economic takes are like over 50% left.
Well, yeah, because Democrats
I think
usually
if you
facilitate more
want-
jobs in the economy when Democrats are president. So that usually their economic policies are better.
We can go into that.
Like
But
50
yeah,
to 1.
I don't think that like if you take everything into consideration that you should have voted for Kamala.
No, that's just as dumb. take.
Her policies were fucking dog shit, dude.
Trump's tariffs. Well, actually, Trump didn't.
Wait, economically.
No, Trump did not have any economic policies. He's gonna be much worse.
What he exercised in 2016 was effective.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I missed it. He didn't do anything. The growth of the economy did not change at all as a result of Trump. Nothing changed.
No, it absolutely did.
Didn't it
Saint-
slow
Saint-
like
we'll
halfway
go-
through
we'll go
his?
this time. Chat. Let's go to St. Louis Fred.com.
I don't care about what Fred thinks. Who's Fred anyway?
It's a Federal Reserve's data aggregation site.
Oh, look at that block! That block was crazy. Dude, that block was crazy. That block was crazy, dude. That was a crazy one. That was crazy, bro. That was crazy, bro.
You can look up any economic stat.
Wow, dude.
Unemployment.
God bless America after that one, baby. That save was crazy, dude. Wow.
Employment rate percent monthly.
No, don't do it to me. Yes. Beat by the bell, dumbass. All right.
Yeah, for sure, Connie. Trump wishes he has skills like Jolo in fucking Rocket League.
I need you to debate him on this, Kyle, because I can't do it in Rocket League.
2014 unemployment was 6.6%. In 2016, unemployment was 4.8%. By 2020, when COVID started, unemployment was 3.6.
Wait, what was it in 2017?
In 2016, it was 4.8. In 2017, it began at 4.7. By 2020, when COVID began, it was 3.6. COVID spiked up.
Wait, what was it in
to
2017, 2018?
14.
2017, 2018. Those are the years I want to know.
Okay, 2017 unemployment, September. Let me change the date so I can get like closer information. This is public. You can just go to red.stlouisfed.org and search unemployment rate.
So bad at this game.
You want to know 2017?
Yeah, I want to know like every year through Trump's presidency.
Yeah. So 2017 started January at 4.7.
Okay.
Obama's era was higher. It ended at 4.8 to 4.7. 2018 was 4.0. 2019 was 4.0. 2020 was 3.6. And then COVID hit. It spiked to 14.8. But again, we talked about this. This is an outlier that we haven't seen since World War I when it comes to a pandemic. What's the next one you want to hear? You want to hear Biden's 2024?
No, I just can't do a full analysis just off unemployment data.
Okay, 2024 was 3.7. Biden ended higher than Trump did when COVID started. End of the year,
Trump did not have to
4.1.
deal with anything economically, like any crisis necessarily.
No, but he didn't have to deal with what he did have to deal with the crisis was COVID, but also he did things that massively benefited the economic environment, as in corporate tax cuts.
Well, that's all he did.
Allowing for more expansion and growth. And then we saw that pull back under Biden policy when it came to massive job cuts, especially in the tech and finance sector.
Well, that's an issue with the tech. Well, actually, no, because you can't judge it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
a
hold
sector. That's a sectoral issue. Then that's not even like
Yeah,
Trump got
is
lucky
this an
under
issue
sectoral.
with the government? That
It's an issue with the government.
yeah, like that the tech sector is laying people off, or like is that really like?
And
an
Trump was
issue
president
with the
during
government
peak.
where new
He was
where
president during
like
peak
new
tech employment.
regulations passed that caused them to like do this, or
So yes, and like, was it more? They put regulation on top of an already negative event, right? So because of COVID, inflation increased, Federal Reserve cut rates, which stifles growth, and at the same time, Biden passes bills which increases government investment, which then increases inflation and causes to more rate increases, which adds extra pressure, unnecessary pressure on jobs growth, especially in growth sectors, especially in growth industries. Yes.
I love how we
Yes,
can't even talk
early
about this with
Biden
Trump at all
policy.
because he didn't pass any policies. We can't even like make a debate about him.
He did. He
Yeah, he passed one
passed
policy.
corporate.
Yeah, I
They
mean, he
already
did
do.
passed
do
more than
the
that.
tax cuts, but that's like
The fact Trump only had
that's
to
like
pass
all
tax
he
cuts
did.
is a
What were
testament to
his
how easy it was for
damaging
him.
policies? Because I just said what Biden did to damage
Trump didn't have to. He had a strong
employment.
economy already. He just did tax cuts. He didn't do anything else. What else would he do? He got a participation
Biden
trophy. That's
would
what I
have
keep
had
saying.
a strong economy, and it would have had a much faster recovery if he didn't do what he did.
That's
Same as
not
under
true.
Obama. Under 2008,
America
he
spent more
followed
money
up
and
those
had the
cuts.
best recovery in the world. Like we spent more money and had lower inflation quicker after leading the world
We
in
did not
spending.
have lower inflation quicker.
Yeah,
Like
we did.
we talked about this.
In other countries that spent less money on their economic recovery, yeah.
Other countries had quicker recoveries from inflation, but
We
more
had better
economic
real
decline.
wage.
So they recovered from inflation quicker, but they went into recession.
I mean, Trump sat at the desk pretty well.
I'm not saying that Trump gave us this economy. I'm not saying that Biden saved the economy.
So Trump increased inflation with his tax cuts too. He hyperinflated the economy with his tax cuts. It probably led to some of the inflation we saw.
No, it did.
People had too much money to spend. It was hyperinflated.
You can look at, okay, let's look up the M2 money supply.
I don't have an M2 MacBook. Why would I look at that?
Yeah, because you.
Yeah, I can't even
go
talk about this. I'm
to
Rocket
the
League right now.
Fred, St.
We need
Louis.
someone else to debate this point.
All right. He doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to look at the data. He doesn't want to see the facts.
I've looked at the
That
data. I'm
the M2
tired.
money supply, which is the most accurate take on how much money is
Yeah,
circulating
the working
in the
class
economy,
cares about the M2 money
is
supply.
a leading indicator of inflation. Every time the government prints money, inflation goes up.
That's not true.
You don't even see a reaction to
That's not true.
CPI.
If they print money to expand
If you
supply,
went
inflation
to the
doesn't go up.
website, and if you went to the government website and looked at the data, you would see it exists. I'm telling you where to find it right now.
I'm just saying the fact
don't
that
wanna
you
see
said
it.
the fact that
It
you
would
said
disprove what
the
you
fact that
want.
you said no
You
the fact that you
think.
said no, your opinion is invalid because you just said that printing money automatically increases inflation, which it doesn't. For
I'm
costs.
saying you can look at the leading indicator of money supply. Leading indicator means it leads inflation.
Tax cut
right?
increases
And
money
then you
supply
can
too, though.
see-
That increases
you can,
inflation.
No, a tax cut doesn't increase
Yep,
money
it goes
supply.
from government.
The
It
money
goes from the
already
revenue.
exists.
No. It goes from the revenue into the public sector again, or public and private.
The revenue to the public sector. Revenue
If the
is
government
sales.
releases revenue to the public or to a company, that impacts the world differently than if the government has it in their budget.
What?
Inflation can go. You can spend money and have inflation go down if you increase supply.
You can spend money and have inflation go down if you decrease supply.
If you increase supply.
How do you you can have inflation go down if you increase supply while
Yes.
spending money?
It's the same conversation we had before. You're talking about the strict inflation term with the M2 money supply. I'm talking about the real wages versus cost growth.
How does dude, I'm telling you what impacts cost growth. I'm telling you to look at the stats. I'm telling you where the stats are. I'm telling you what to search. Look up M2 money supply, look at it, and then you can overlay CPI on that same graph. You can also overlay PPE, which removes things like rent.
You know the infrastructure investments by the government lowers inflation when they spend money on infrastructure.
It depends how they do it.
If they make it cheaper to produce and help suppliers produce products cheaper, then it usually makes things cost less. So they could spend government money.
It depends
and
how
have
they do
inflation
it.
go down. Yeah, I agree. It depends how they do it, which means you can hypothetically spend money and make inflation go
Yeah,
down.
but this is the same way you ended the conversation the other day. You said hypothetically. That's not reality. That's not what.
What CPI chart are you looking at to overlay onto the
Thank
M2 money
God.
supply?
It should just be. If I look up CPI, it does have like a weird acronym after it.
Well, I mean, I'm on the Fred, and when I go to the CPI search, I see like 500 different like posts that are regarding that.
One day
So
ago.
using like the median CPI.
That would work. I think the M2 is probably an average, so I'd also overlay an average on that.
Well, I mean, if I when I look at the let's see, I just want to do 10 years. Can I do 10 years on this other graph? I can, but it's just going to be significantly harder. All right, 2010 to 2020. Let's see.
I do the sticky price consumer price index, less food and energy. So that takes out your high grocery prices, and at the same time it also takes out gas prices. It takes out very inelastic prices. Stuff that doesn't change easily, which
So
is
you do
probably
sticky price index for food and energy. That's the one you go with.
yeah, it takes out very inelastic prices, right? It takes out gas, which doesn't change easily, and it takes out grocery, which doesn't change quickly.
All right. So this is between 2005 and 2024. Sorry, I'm just trying to like line up the graphs so I can actually like try and overlay them like you're saying.
Harman0220, go to fred.stlouisfed.org. You can look up any economic stat you want.
There's a couple of people in chat that are asking if the data can be streamed, if the sources that you guys are pulling up can be shared.
So I don't know, man.
I just
These
put a link.
I don't think that these graphs really can be like overlaid. I mean, you do see like a huge jump both in 20. I mean, you don't see like a huge jump in the graph like you do see in the sticky consumer price index between 2005 and 2024. Like the M2 money
Is the stream back up? The stream back up? Hello? Hello?
percent change. Okay.
Okay, the stream's back up, I think. It just shut down for a second. I gotta forfeit this match. Rocket League's killing me.
You can see the spike.
Okay,
I'm
and this one's
gonna
also percent change, so.
Okay,
I'm
is it back? It is
gonna
back? Okay,
pop
thank you,
off.
thank you.
Yeah.
5
Good
years.
stream. Good night.
Good night. Have a good evening. If anyone's staying
Yeah.
up too late, go to bed.
What?
Let's do
I
10
said to the chat, if
years.
anyone's up,
I
go
wanna
to
see the
bed. Have some
last
frosted
10
flakes.
years.
Frosted flakes are healthy.
So
Tomorrow on the stream, are you sticking with the plan of having a moderator meeting type thing?
Possibly.
You guys should also let me debate a conservative. I
Yeah, I
put
wanna
it
see
in
that.
the ideas chat.
Well, you had said
Everyone
it.
in-
You had said it earlier this week. I know Nag was interested in that.
In what?
Their policies are also fucking dog shit.
Just talking about the channel and the Discord and stuff like that. So I did add a couple of the requested channels today. I added Rage Room for the venting. I added group therapy and the self promotion
Yo,
channels.
Dark Titan, I am only an economics and finance guy.
So,
I do not care about
Okay.
it.
Good night.
Alright, good night, thank you.
So I
Night.
see in this graph that I'm looking at between it's the last 10 years, so it'll be 2014 to 2024. I see the spike in 2020, but the graph between sticky food price consumer index and M2 percent over a year doesn't really seem to map onto each other that great.
It's like the aggregate spikes. Like if you were to,
I mean, the
spikes,
the huge spike in the sticky price index doesn't happen until 2023, and then actually immediately after, where you see the spike on the M2, you see a drop.
right, and then we should see a drop in CPI moving forward. Like what we've done
I
is
mean,
take
we
a
are
leading
see
indicator.
well since 2023 we have seen a drop in CPI. It's been, well
Let's
on this specific graph for the sticky price consumer index.
in what?
So I'm looking at sticky price consumer index, less food and energy. And when I look at this graph, I mean, it doesn't really seem to map on to the other graph, man. Like, they don't really seem to have any major correlations. I mean, they may that I'm just not able to see because I'm not like educated enough to be able to read this. I'm gonna post it in the chat.
This is a rate of change, so it's gonna be.
Hold on, I'm posting the pictures.
1,
These are the graphs I'm looking at. So it's in the chat bubble of the community. Or it should be. No, why didn't it go through? That's weird.
O to O.
Oh, it's because it's still sending. I'm not on my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, if anyone wants to come in Discord, come in Discord. That's where everyone's talking right now. The stream's
There
gonna
we
end
go.
very soon.
From a year
So
ago.
I posted the graphs that I'm looking at in chat here. And if you want, I can do a better picture of the sticky price one. So the first one is going to be the M2. Second one's going to be the sticky price, and they really don't look like they map onto each other that well, man. Like I may not be like privy to the right amount of like knowledge to be able to say that for sure that these don't correlate, but they really don't seem to that much.
Of course, this guy plays Sonic. Yeah, buddy.
Where is it?
You see in the community chat, there's a little chat bubble that you can click on.
I see it. Yeah, so your sticky prices is a year-over-year change. Your it's a year-over-year percent change. It's a percent change from a year ago. Your M2 money supply is a percent change. Just change the M2 money supply. Change the M2 money supply to a percent change from a year ago, because that is how inflation is measured. So it will make more sense.
I mean, again, in like 2020, you see like this huge drop where there should be like there's a huge spike. So is that what like the correlation? So when the M2 spikes, there's going to be a drop on the CPI?
No, because there's a spike on the CPI. Yes. Well, so what happened in the beginning?
There is a spike, but it's just like in the opposite direction, and then like and then a year later, there's like half a year later, there's a spike up, then a drop, and then another like in like 2021, there's another huge spike, and then a half year later, there's another drop, and then at 2022, it goes back up, and then it's just like been slowly going back down since 2022. Like, is this just like because of a like it just takes time for these sort of things to affect things? Like
Adolf Hitler sings.
I'm gonna put it.
Adolf Hitler sings.
Hold on, I'll put it in the chat too.
You better not be kidding, Adolf.
Well, I think I'm looking at the right one now because I changed it to the percent change, not by year like what you said.
You want percent change from a year ago.
Right.
Oh, Brian's down bad. He just put, "I'm single, ladies. If there's any other tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists in chat."
Well, percent change from a year ago was the first one that I looked at. That's the first picture I sent. So the second one I'm sending now is going to be the one you told me to adjust it to.
17.
If it ever sends. Oh, there it goes. It just wasn't sending on my phone.
Once I finish this level, I'm getting off. By the way, chat. Chat. I don't really say chat that much. Hi, chat. Seems kind of cringe.
Save this shit. E.
No, I got the glitch. Oh my god, bro.
Give me a second here.
Randall, I do this mostly every night. Become a channel member. Thank you. Wait, Egolf said these things. Where's this at?
Trump's gonna beat LeBron James again.
He is gonna beat LeBron James again. It's actually, you know what? Mike Tyson beat Trump.
Yeah, already.
To be honest, I accidentally voted Trump when I joined. I hit Trump by accident and said, "Fuck no."
LeBron's never gonna win. I think LeBron is seen as like a political person by them though. Mike Tyson's not. Egolf Twitler singing. I'm playing Egolf Twitler right now.
Waited till I saw the sun. Don't know why I didn't come.
Can I just like DM these to you, Kyle?
Left you by the house of fun.
Because I can't. I
Don't
also
know
can't send
why
pictures.
I didn't come.
In the community hangout?
Don't know why I didn't come.
Oh yeah, well you know it might be because I'm a mod, so yeah.
When I saw the break of day, wish that I could fly away. Instead of kneeling in the sand, catching teardrops in my hand.
This is Egolf Twitler. This is
And,
Egolf Twitler,
the
our mod.
leading- The
You guys are
fact
missing
that
Egolf
the
Twitler singing right
M2
now. You're missing Egolf Twitler singing. Really inappropriate, to be honest.
My heart is
The fact that M2
drenched
directly leads.
in wine.
It's a lead.
You'll be on my mind forever. Out across the endless sea, I would die in ecstasy. But I'll be a bag of bones driving down the road alone. My heart is drenched in wine.
Shout out to Agolf Twitler for the late night serenade. I have the same pop filter, I think, or a similar one. It's not the same. It's a similar pop filter on this microphone. I'm pretty sure, with a $2 mic stand or a what is it? A shock absorber, whatever it's called. Similar to what is in the video. Everyone's
Yeah, if
crying,
you
but
set it
can't
back to
engage in marketplace
2017, it
ideas.
doesn't
True
change.
snow.
I just have mine going back to 2015. I did the last like 10 years.
You are white, but yet
15.
probably support white genocide and white guilt. Wow, daydreamer. Why would you assume that?
Joel is just trying to make a buck, bro.
Yeah, I'm not even real.
Relax.
AI.
This guy's AI. He's never hit leg day in his life. You seen him?
Chill. I got runner legs. I'm a distance runner.
You run cross country?
I did.
I did too, man.
My longest run was
That's
only
what I'm
like
talking
14 or
about.
15 miles though. I want to train to a marathon, but I haven't ran for like a year. So if I try to run again, I'll probably cry.
So, hold on.
I've only done a half.
Let me try and
You
understand the
got me.
parameters of these graphs real quick. So when I'm looking at this graph, at the bottom, what I'm looking at is the time. So that's like basic graph shit. When I'm looking at the side, I'm looking at the percent change. Yeah, but what does percent change from year ago mean? Does that mean that these numbers that I'm looking at on your graph are going to be the percent to last year, like the percent change from last year?
Right, it's a trailing 12 months at every data point. So if you look up May 2015, 5.6. If you were to look up May 2014, it would be another number. But what that 5.6 in 2015 means, it has increased 5.6% since May of 2014. So when you go and you look at CPI especially, that's why it's so fucked. It's been increasing by 2.05. It increased like 2% year over year. So even if it increased 2% in 2014 and then it increased by 2% in 2015, that means it's increased. It's an exponential scale here. So when you go up to 2022 after during COVID or after it, right? 2023 on the graph, January 2023, 6.48755%. That's year over year over year. So because of the printing of money on the M2 supply, as you can see from the first graph, it has caused CPI to increase by what would be you could do an annual, but what would be most accurate is a continuously compounding rate. If you were to take the annual rate to the power, like to the exponential times the period of time, it's sitting around like inflation has gone up plus 22% since COVID started. And you can see directly from this that the money supply began to increase at that time. And then 1 year later, that rate of change followed. The CPI rate of change followed.
Right, but there were other complicating factors that could be added into this chart other than just like the money supply, right? Like in the CPI.
There are other complicating factors, but the only thing that affects long-term inflation is the printing of money.
We weren't talking about long-term
Other
inflation
price
though.
changes can deflate.
Yeah, but I mean, but
We're talking about
this
short-term
isn't
growth.
inflation. This is CPI,
Like
right?
the M2 can remain stable, right?
Anything.
Imagine if the M2 remains stable, but every port shut down at the same time. It's obviously not the M2 supply that's going to make that inflation happen.
Yeah,
over
but
2-year
then when
periods.
every port opens up, prices would deflate.
Yeah, not instantly though. There's a bunch of backlog because Biden's listen, because Biden's one of the main places Biden. That's okay. Okay, fine.
When do prices ever deflate?
there's a difference between systemic deflation and inflation and uh, short-term price increase and decrease. Sure, natural factors of supply and demand, like uh, impacts on supply chains and such as your ports, can affect a short-term spike in price because supply drops as demand stays the same. But as those ports recover, supply returns and prices will level out over time. What
Right.
you're talking about when you're
Isn't that
talking
what
about
we're kind of like looking at
Do
when
they
we're
deflate though?
when you are talking about when you're talking about impactful inflation that negatively affects the American consumer and negatively affects the dollar, you're talking about inflation of the dollar. That means what I mean is you get a big old pie and you split it into more and more and more slices. You keep cutting it up. More dollars for the same price. And sure, that price may go up and down based on how like needed and how confident people are in our dollar.
But
So
that
there are
also means
marginal
that
things that may
global,
affect it.
but with the American dollar, that also means that global inflation will impact the American dollar more specifically, right? So if the entire globe has a crisis where everything is backlogged, then other countries' inflation can affect the U.S., right? If the total supply of the U.S. dollar.
The whole globe has things that are backlogged. What do you are you talking about?
If people
Products?
use the U.S. dollar and it's not for American consumers or American products and it's not affecting the supply at all, then other countries can impact America more uniquely than we can affect
Okay,
another
hold
currency.
on. Give me just.
They,
Give me
they
just a
trade
second.
their
Go
But
dollars
the
to
biggest,
our
the main thing I want to say, the biggest thing Biden spent money on, the biggest thing Biden spent money on
they
was
trade
helping.
their dollar
The
at their
biggest,
spot
the
price.
biggest,
Our
the biggest
dollar at
thing,
our
the
spot price.
biggest thing Biden spent money on was helping to reopen the ports quicker. That's one of the biggest things that we spent money on, which is one thing that can help decrease prices sooner.
One of the biggest things you spent money on, I actually agree with, is the CHIPS Act, and the biggest thing you spent money on is the second biggest is the Inflation Reduction Act, and the first biggest would be the U.S. military.
Okay, so when we talk about like so you'd say we'd see a spike like.
By the way, you're completely wrong about all of those numbers, but whatever.
Okay, the U.S. military was because all the
No.
funding
The
that went to
American, okay,
Ukraine
the
was more
American
to
Rescue Plan,
replace the current equipment that we have.
okay, the American Rescue Plan was the number one expensive. Okay, number two expensive was the infrastructure plan. Number three was inflation reduction. Number four was chips and science. Yeah. So I'm just wanting to get the
I was
numbers right
off
for
by
this.
like what, one or two.
Well, you just forgot.
I
about
told you
two.
all I know is how money works.
All right,
and
just
how
for
the
the stream,
economy
really
works.
quick. Just for the stream, I'm gonna let them argue for a little bit more, but I'm done for tonight. I'm gonna leave the stream on. You can hear them argue for another 10 minutes. I'm gonna go get some spaghetti, but this is the end of the stream for me. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like and subscribe. Again, channel memberships are $3 a month. We'll take more phone calls tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. All right, you guys
Thank
are
you
good.
for your service, Jola.
No.
You look at.
Just say you're
Just
sorry.
find my Discord DM. I'd say I'm sorry. Look at my. It's valuable. It will help increase the metrics. One of your streams is being like suppressed by the algorithm.
The comment said something. The comment section said, if we take over China, there is no more debt. Is that true?
No, that's not true. That's fucking retarded.
How many different countries have our
Like,
debt? Wait, what percent of our
different.
debt is China?
The majority of debt holders are American like financial institutions.
Actually, it's
You
American
want me
people.
to just come with a bunch of fucking graphs?
It's only like 860 billion.
Actually, isn't the
for
majority owned by
China.
American citizens?
Well, yeah, but
it's owned by financial institutions that allocate that to like
well,
American retirement
Trump's
accounts.
finance guy said something about just eliminating it by the Act of 1871 or something. I forget what it was called. Crap, I forget what they said. But when Trump says he wants to,
any act.
Trump said he's
any
gonna get rid of the debt with Bitcoin, right? He said he's gonna use Bitcoin and make the debt go away.
Did any act passed in 1871 about like monetary policy should probably be revisited?
But why did Trump say he's gonna get rid of the debt with Bitcoin? I don't know what he meant when he said that. I have no idea.
He just says things, and all you got to do it. Like
He's
sometimes you
stupid.
just got to
He
giggle.
You just
You
gotta
just
laugh
got
at
to
him. He's like a
giggle.
kid. He
man.
just acts up sometimes, you know? I don't know what he's saying, but it's funny. A little bit
It
of
is funny.
Bitcoin. A little bit of Bitcoin, get rid of that national debt in an instant. A little bit of Bitcoin. All it's gonna take.
Yeah, some things he says you giggle at him. Some things he says it's like that's actually right. Just like Biden. Yeah, until 2023, and then he
Well,
just
Trump does this.
looks
I
like
don't think
my
Trump can be right
grandfather
or
with
wrong.
dementia.
He doesn't say many words. He says like 3 words on repeat, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta
Life
like
is so
consider what
unfair
he's
to
actually
me.
trying
Unfair
to
to
say
Trump.
at some point.
Unfair. He's like interpreting like. Never mind.
Like if you actually take the time to understand like what he's trying to say, sometimes it makes sense.
Listening to Trump is like
Sometimes it
hearing someone
really
talk
does.
from someone who just learned English and they're trying to interpret it for someone else who's like really dumb. It's like, okay, we have to really think. What does he mean here? Only science can know. We have to study this specimen. What does he mean when he says Bitcoin? We need a little bit of Bitcoin to get rid of the debt. The Bitcoin reserve. We're going to spend our national debt and we're going to buy Bitcoin with it. We are subsidizing Canada.
That's not entirely false because Bitcoin had like a negative correlation to the overall market until this year. So anything after like probably December, if he said that December and on, that's when it started to correlate significantly with the S&P and the Nasdaq as a whole. The S&P as like an index and then the Nasdaq as an entire like exchange. It started to have a positive correlation.
Based on
So
what,
if he
though?
said that price change.
Yeah, but what says it's gonna remain stable at all and not have like extreme volatility?
No, I'm not saying it's going to remain stable. I'm saying that before like December, it was peaking into the negatives.
Right? He should
And
bring up
which
the
means it has an
sources on the stream to show everyone.
Huh? Hey Kyle, could you just put all that shit in like general chat that we just put in this chat? Could you put my graphs? We'll put it when Kyle gets back, okay? I can't post. I can't share. I can't stream,
I
bro.
can do it for you if you send it to me.
Who
Oh wait, no, he did. He put it in the voice chat chat. So if you go to right next to where you would mute your mic at, there's a little chat bubble. You click on that, and the graphs are already in here.
All right, good night.
Unless you're
Good
talking
night,
about
chat.
different ones.
But
Them now.
Jilla, what a negative beta means is it's inversely correlated. So when the US dollar inflates, Bitcoin deflates. When the US dollar deflate or the reduction in inflation, because we don't really deflate, Bitcoin inflates. So what you would do to protect in the past, what you would do to protect is you would use these Bitcoins as a most speculative assets did this because it relied on like mostly gambling and people's emotion. And as soon as rates would increase, people were like, "Oh, the treasury bill is more effective than this speculative asset. I'm gonna sell it and move to the treasury bill." So the price of the speculative asset would decrease, and the treasury bill price would then increase based on supply and demand. And so they inversely related. Bitcoin's becoming less speculative. We're seeing it potentially stabilize and correlate to U.S. markets and the U.S. dollar. Thus, after like December of last year, remember, it is not that's not a true statement anymore.
Yeah.
Wait, can you elaborate your point? What do you mean? Is it stabilizing or is it not?
What does it stabilize on though? Like I want to know like what is keeping it like tied to anything other than just speculation in general. And if the U.S. like government got into it, then it obviously would change.
Exactly. It's purely speculation. The thing that's
So
probably
it's not like a real
stabilizing
plan,
it.
right?
No, it's not a real plan. I'm not saying it's a real plan. I'm
Oh, you're
saying
saying why he thought it
before
might
like
be,
this.
or why he
Yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was. Okay,
exactly.
okay.
I'm saying before December of last year, it would be a legitimate plan because it has an inverse relationship to the price of the dollar. Thus, you could defend it. It not only it has an inverse relationship against interest rates. Thus, you could defend the U.S. government against like price change and interest rate volatility using Bitcoin. But it's also just stats, right? At the end of the day, as a person, you don't know. A correlation does not mean causation, and that I mean we're seeing it change, right? And also, like, past historical information does not prove like what's going to happen in the future. There are very few things we know that are confirmed will change. The reason for inflation is one of them. The reason for
Genders
short-term
are going
price
to
gain,
change.
sure. Huh?
Genders change. All right.
I'm
Good
not
night,
getting
everyone.
into that. I'm not
Good-
getting into that.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night to the stream. Thank you for watching again. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. I want to take all my unemployment as Bitcoin.
I just think it's funny you don't prove any of your facts to the streamers. You should pull that shit up on the screen, bro.
I can't. I'm not streaming.
No, not you, Jola.
He's
No.
chilling, man. He's here for a check. I'm here to teach people about economics and
At
finance.
the end of the night, I'm not streaming anymore. At the end of the, I'm chilling this part of the night. I do phone calls. That's when I'm actually streaming.
It's just funny you get really salty when people prove you wrong, Jola. You get really
On what
salty when
point,
people
buddy?
prove
On
you
what
wrong.
point? On what point, buddy?
He's a
What
good
point was I wrong on?
like, he's
What
a
point was I
good
wrong on during my
like,
phone
a
calls?
business platform.
What point was I wrong
Seems like
on?
you're getting salty, Dougie. I mean, you can't tell
Yeah,
us
you're,
what he's
you're
wrong
salty. You can't even
Dougie?
do the Dougie. You can't even do the Dougie.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if he's right, he should
I-
pull up the facts on the screen.
Never played Skyrim?
Nova, you could stream your screen to the Discord, and Jola usually, when we're doing community hangout, has Discord up, so he would be able to watch your stream.
Oh shit. Okay. I did not want to overstep, but here, let me
Community hangout. Beautiful term. Zaddy.
let me
You should
just
make Zaddy
I'll share it
fun.
now.
Everyone is sassy today. True. Oh, I gotta post a conversation with that one guy. He was funny.
All right. Sticky price. We see 2020 CPI then increases 2021 into 2023. If we go to the M2 money supply, which is the amount of money in circulation, we see it increases in 2020. Brought this back to 2015, but we see it increase in 2020. And you can see it is leading. It is a leading indicator of inflation. The amount of money that the government prints and goes into the supply of the American economy directly impacts the rate of change on our currency. Are you, whoever wanted to watch this, are you seeing it?
What
Let
in
me
like
see this with
2008?
Japan. Could you find one? Could you find a graph like this for Japan's economy?
This is the American Federal Reserve.
Yeah, I know. I just want to see what it would look like for Japan's economy because Japan is a country that, well, you should know why I'm trying to compare.
I'd also want to
Japan.
see the M2
They do high
supply.
government spending.
I want to compare the M2 supply post 2008 under Obama versus inflation because I feel like that would probably misaligned.
Is someone trying to argue that the M2 money supply doesn't affect the inflation? Is that the argument?
The argument is that
Yeah,
it doesn't
we're-
always
I have
correlate
data
to
pulled up.
prices.
We're-
It doesn't always correlate to prices versus real wages. It doesn't always. Like 2008, it did not correlate. The M2 supply grew a lot, but inflation remained low.
Maybe
Or post 2008 under Obama's stimulus plans or whatever. Raislin, do you think would you say that tax cuts across the board are inflationary?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think so.
If everyone has more money and consumers, you don't think that's gonna make prices go up?
No, definitely not. I don't think taxes are inflationary. I don't think you can really cause
No, tax
inflation with
cuts.
taxes.
I can't get here.
Like I'm saying in general, like taxes just don't cause inflation.
You don't increase the money it is spent, whether it's the consumer
If you
or the government.
increase, but if you increase
doesn't go
disposable
up or down,
income,
the
if you
supply of-
increase, okay, if supply remains the same, but you increase disposable income for people who are going to be more active consumers, inflation will go up. That's just true.
if you increase the people's disposable
If supply
income, you
remains the
decrease
same
the
and
government's
disposable income goes up.
disposable income. If you increase the people's disposable income, you decrease the government's disposable income. These are one-for-one changes.
It's not one for one. Nothing is one for one. You said that about the other thing too.
It
I
is
forget what it was.
marginal at best if there's any other excess change. It would be short-term volatility.
No, but you also say
not
that if you give the
long-term
same, if you give
trend.
tax cuts, but if you give them in stimulus and like UBI, then it is inflationary. Just like it's like I said before, you're talking about long-term inflation. I'm talking about short-term price increases.
Yeah, like UBI is an example of something I don't think would be that inflationary, to be honest.
He thinks it is
Depends on how
inflationary.
UBI is executed. But when you look at UBI under COVID, they printed fucking money. They printed 1/3 of all money in existence during that time frame just to give out those checks and stimulate the economy.
Yeah, but it also it stimulated the economy, so the prices weren't going up at the same rate as the UBI, or not the UBI. I guess it wasn't the UBI, it's the stimulus checks, because
I spent my shit in Korea.
Yeah, Raceland, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Pretty much my argument against this is like, sure, like government spending, right, like can cause inflation, but like not necessarily always. Like for example, like infrastructure bills, right? Like that's not going to cause inflation.
Like after 2008, okay.
Wait,
Why did the M2 supply go up so much, but inflation or consumer prices remained low? You know the answer why consumer prices remain low after 2008, but the M2 grew like a lot.
I haven't looked into 2008, but I know generally the M2 supply it affects inflation a lot.
Yeah, because well, basically all the supply chains. Okay, the government stimulus was not given to consumers, so consumer spending and the velocity of money going through the economy slowed down so much. So although the M2 increased a lot, consumer prices remained low because no one had money to spend. In the same way that if people did have money to spend, inflation would go up, which is largely a big thing we saw with like the past few years. With credit interest and also credit card usage and also just spending in general, we have a lot of spending in America, which also probably contributed to inflation because people had money to spend, especially after, like, if we give money in unemployment benefits and also like the stimulus checks, that would be inflationary because you're adding more disposable, not just the M2, but also more disposable at that point. And also the supply was restricted during COVID.
Disposable income doesn't, that's not the cause of inflation.
No, but I'm saying short term. That's the literal reason why after 2008 prices remained low though, because people lacked that and they had to have very tight budgets. So prices remain low even with the M2 supply increasing so much. So that's like one instance where I'm just saying it doesn't like that. Those 6 years were not tied to the M2 supply at all with inflation for those reasons, and those are the areas where it can become disconnected.
Sure, but when you're printing money to fund government programs that don't necessarily stimulate the economy, that's automatically gonna be inflationary.
No, but like the consumer prices, in terms of like when they change, is a big debate.
We can also look at this by like the inflation and recessions are different things, right? When you look at what Volcker did in the 70s, yep, that's on my CPI graph at least, compared to what happened in 2008, 2008 wasn't inflationary. It was a failure of like the banking system, which would collapse everything.
But you weren't for the bailouts, were you?
So I have an issue. I'm not for bailouts, but I also have an issue that when people say like bailouts of big banks are like greedy and wrong, right? Because
Well, they
what
paid
you're
it
doing
back.
is huh?
They paid the money. The banks paid the money back, and at the time,
Okay.
the too big to fail thing. They were
So
too important infrastructure. You just couldn't let them like fail at the time. Was the
No,
thinking.
yeah, and they have too many American deposits and
Yeah.
401ks. Like it would be completely unethical to let a bank fail.
Brian, what are you saying?
A
Brian
bank
just said
bailout is a
Brian said
bailout
he
of
uses
the
his shirt as
American
toilet
people.
paper if he runs out of toilet paper. Brian, what are you talking about today? Brian's off the rocker today. I think he's drunk.
The other thing you're missing with the 2008 thing is I don't have the graph in front of me, but I believe the M2 money supply actually went like down significantly after 2008. Like I think they stopped printing as much money.
Yeah, it was a significant like restriction on policy. Like
Which
they
would
didn't want
lower
to.
the inflation that the initial printing would have caused.
It wouldn't lower the inflation. You would have to have a negative, like a decrease in the rate. But what would lower the inflation is like increased interest rates that slow the changing of money.
A lot of it is Fed policy too that we're like tying to other policy that the president
Fed
would do.
policy at the end of the day affects it balances everything. The government can completely fuck it over. The Fed is the only one that can really fix it. They're also the only one that can remove money from the system by buying or selling treasury securities to banks and in exchange for US dollars.
Well, I think
right?
Raistlin said he wants the Fed to be controlled by a supercomputer. I don't know if that was a joke or not.
Not a supercomputer. Are you aware of like Milton Friedman's proposal? I'm forgetting the name of it.
All right, I'm ending the stream, by the way. I'm ending the stream. I was going to end it before, but I procrastinated. But good night, everyone. Thank you, PFC.
ADD, bro.
Dalton.
So Milton Friedman had this K% rule, and it's pretty much the Fed would be replaced with a computer that followed this K% rule that would lower the amount of money printing or raise the amount of money being printed. Like is a simple way to think about it.
I think there's a lot more nuance to like economic policy than people want to admit.